feel so gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day, I'm right. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Mandatory minicamp will get underway starting tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills, and one major storyline to follow will be if running back James Cook will be in attendance. Cook did miss OTAs, and ESPN's Adam Schefter over the weekend said he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon, as the Pro Bowl running back is looking for a new contract. Cook, though, does have 1 year left on his rookie deal. Packers are releasing Pro Bowl corner Jair Alexander. Alexander has played just 14 total games over the past 2 years. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported this morning that this offseason Green Bay and the Bills held trade talks over Alexander. The Bengals are releasing linebacker Jermaine Pratt, and the Colts have announced details on the transition of ownership with the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters are set to play a role within the organization, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight as the series transitions to Florida. The Panthers will host the Oilers. Series is tied at 1 game apiece. Game time at 8 with our coverage right here on WGR getting underway a half hour before that at 7:30. And our coverage is presented by Figo Car & Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For Florida, A.J. Greer back in the lineup, while for the Oilers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a game-time decision. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
All right, what's the report from outside?
I was outside for maybe 3 minutes. I counted 8 Q-tips. It's got to be one person that just throws their Q-tips out the window when they're done using them in their cars.
It's Mike Schopp.
One person?
More than one person using Q-tips and throwing them outside?
I don't think I use 8 Q-tips in a year.
I think I've never used 8 Q-tips.
And the Bulldog.
What the hell is going on out there? I don't think I want to work in a place where people roll their windows down if they're using Q-tips for Lord knows what and just throw them on the ground.
Well, you do.
What, is it the 70s?
Oh, that's not very nice.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Driving on the highway 65 miles an hour. I get a little left in my soda from the fast food drive out the window. That was the 70s. Who gives an F about anything?
Throw a burrito out the window.
Nothing matters. 2025, what are you doing?
On WGR.
Throwing Q-tips out of your car.
Sports Radio 550.
Yes, a little bit old school today. Pandemic school.
Yes, yeah. The gear still works.
Don't you love when that happens?
My face looks really dumb and red still.
Don't you love when the gear still works?
With this feed. Yes, I'm excited.
What a moment that is.
I'm excited that everything, the hookup from the attic with its fancy new windows. I haven't done many shows up here with the windows, Mike. Just football season.
And you had this whole episode last week about how they have to stay closed, but you want to open them, but they're bigger, but it's hot, but the rain.
Yeah. Woo, yeah.
Today's a little bit challenging.
I'm here to monitor that. I have them open now because, if it rains, I'm here to close them. So that'll be fine.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
I am in the, as it's commonly known, Just Called Jed studio, where we're still not sure what the substance is beneath this carpet that's been ripped for 14 years but a lot of it today, for some reason, has been kicked up.
Oh, dear. Oh.
So there's just basically crumbs of carpet. That's a team name. Kind of all around my feet. But I think maybe Josh Allen wasn't born when this carpet ripped. I'm not sure if he was even born yet. Maybe he was. Maybe he was a toddler.
Or it might be close. Yeah,
it's close.
Yeah.
But I think it could be, the substance could actually be the shreds of the masking tape that was used, back when George Bush was president to try to fix the situation. Maybe this is pieces of tape, or it's pieces. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Hopefully, it's not toxic.
On one hand, I hope this situation gets alleviated rapidly. On the other, I feel bad to have missed it today. Hopefully, it's still in disarray tomorrow.
I don't want it to ever be alleviated unless I get sick. Then probably we should address it because it's right under my feet.
Right.
Well, welcome to James Cook Week.
I suppose that is what we're looking at here. Yeah, I think it I don't know. In all lowercase letters. James Cook Week, because I feel like we should be expecting him not to show up for this.
I have been.
I think it would be somewhat surprising, if not flat out shocking, if he showed up for this. So it's the first mandatory thing that he can miss to try to make his point. He'll get fined, but if he wants to make a point to the Bills, now is the time to start making it, I suppose. And then I think the reason for the lowercase letters now, though, is because it's still, not even mid-June yet. This is mandatory minicamp. Training camp is the end of July, and whatever that report date is, I feel like is James Cook Week in all caps, and maybe even safety orange. That's a bigger, because this to me isn't a mystery. I would not expect a player in his position to show up for this. But if he wants to or does not want to show up for training camp, then I think that's a different thing.
Is it the same if he's there but not playing? What's that equivalent to tomorrow? What if he comes in and
begins a hold in tomorrow?
Yeah. That's like that. To anybody that's like, I still have yet to meet this person in real life. To anybody that's like really worried, then that would probably relax them. Well, then maybe that person is not relaxable. I don't know. Like,
right.
do you know anybody in your life that's actually really worried about whether James Cook is here for anything for this?
Do I know anybody?
Do you think you do?
I don't think
I mean,
do.
you're not quizzing everybody in your contacts.
No, that's right. No, my circle of friends. I mean, they are a lot of my friends. A lot of my good friends are Bills fans, but in a way that wouldn't get to, is James Cook going to show up? I do think for mandatory minicamp, I do think the same friends as we get through, mid-July, if I'm lucky enough to have things come together where, different circles of friends, but a boat day, and I'm with 3 of these people. It'll come up in mid-July, I think. Like if we're out on the lake and we're just talking and whatever, do you think he'll show up for training camp? Like I think that there's more urgency behind that. This is an opportunity for him to make his displeasure obviously more well known than it is already, and I'd be stunned if he showed up. Training camp, I'm not so sure I'm ready to. I think training camp is a much more likely place for the hold-in.
There is, I'll keep this short, I promise. My all-time favorite show is The West Wing, and my favorite episode of The West Wing is called Hartsfield's Landing. And this episode is partly about this, literally and figuratively chess game going on between the United States and China. And the assistant to the president's chief of staff guy is, it's been a while since I've watched it, clearly. I hope I don't have to listen to hear about how I couldn't lock that down. Sam Seymour.
Good job knowing the title of one of your favorite shows. Like
my
specific, I don't know the titles. The only title of a show that I really like that I know the name of is just because people reference it all the time. It's the Pine Barrens episode of Sopranos.
What about Seinfeld?
Otherwise, okay. What is the masturbation episode?
The Secret?
Called? The Secret.
I'm not sure that's right.
I think that might be right.
I'm not sure
wrote a term
right.
paper on it. I probably wrote it, but I don't remember.
You wrote a term paper on that episode of Seinfeld?
Yes.
At a real school?
I went to Buff State for broadcasting.
Did they have any limitations? No. On what that had to be about?
No, it had to be something from contemporary popular American media.
Wow.
And it was the most popular show on earth at the time.
Yes.
So it qualified.
Do you still have it? No, you would not. You do?
No, I'll bet I do have it somewhere.
You wrote a term paper.
I don't think I've had hands on it in a long time, but I'm pretty sure I still have it in a folder somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, so to speak.
Well, again, it's great when the gear works.
Anyway, so yeah.
So Hartsfield's Landing is about like this chess game going on, U.S. and China, and Sam is trying to understand through the president's eyes, like, what is really happening here? And he's like, what's our next move? What comes after that? He's like, after our next move comes their next move. And it's all sort of like the president is all sort of chill about it. By the way, I did want to keep that short. That section in the middle is not a part of my...
No, I know. That was me talking about, whatever. I brought Sopranos and then Seinfeld, and then... But we reeled it back in relatively quickly.
I brought that on. Please. So after our next move comes their next move. And really, like, to the president, it's all sort of like, going to happen the way it's going to happen. And a lot of things get me to the West Wing, but this does. This is like, this is when he doesn't show up. Before that was when we said a thing. And, before that was when he was on X with his demands or whatever. Like, that now comes his next move. And it really doesn't escalate until, quote, escalate, until somebody does something unexpected. Till somebody, that would be Cook not coming to training camp. That would be the Bills announcing or just deciding and not telling us that they're just not going to, do anything for him, whatever. Like, sometimes those things get brought out and end up in the public space. That's usually not how things go, and that's not how the Bills operate.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to watch out for what exactly. I imagine when camp begins, that's the next time, Oh, well, we're going to hear from McDermott tomorrow. I don't know that we're going to hear from Bean with mandatory minicamp firing up. But whenever the GM next speaks, which at the latest, I'll just say safely will be as training camp begins.
Yep.
He could speak earlier.
Unless he goes on Oprah.
Right. What? Maybe he'll go on Pat McAfee again. I don't know. Maybe he'll call in the morning show. What sort of, how harsh or friendly? Like what is the tone? Right? Because the tone when he last really talked about the negotiations was, we're leaving it. It's not worth continuing. And so we've got, it was on to the draft. I mean, now the draft by, the time Bean is talking here might be 2 months in the rearview mirror by then. But that's the last we heard. It was like, we're not close, and we're not really engaged.
I think he did say something, maybe with McAfee. He did say something later that sounded more like dismissive about any sort of concern.
Okay.
What we think he'll be here, or things to that effect.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a turn back, because what you're referring to was before the draft.
Right.
And there was a little bit after the draft with all that media that he did. Oprah, has the show ever sounded older? The Drew Barrymore show, whatever show it was, he did sound more like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll get there.
Okay.
Maybe even more specific than that, but it wasn't as
dismissive of the process.
No, right,
okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah. I have gotten the sense all along that they expect him to come in, but that's what teams often say when they're talking about a guy under contract, right? Like, he's got a contract. We expect him to be here.
What did McDermott say? He'll be here when he's ready to be here. Whatever that means.
We love him. Yeah. So what does that tone sound like? Assuming he misses this week, and there'll be availabilities, players and coach. I don't know about Bean this week. But we'll get some clues, although, the coach has the ability to sort of duck behind the, I coach the players that are here thing. So I don't know that we'll get much, if anything, to lean us one way or the other. But whenever Bean talks, what kind of tone he has is, going to be very, I think, maybe telling. What's going to happen next.
Think about Diggs for this. This is 2 years ago now, and when he was last on the Bills. And it was this week. It was tomorrow. Whatever day that was in 2023. It was that day. And McDermott kind of escalated it himself, I'm sure unwittingly, with I'm very concerned, right? But we didn't know then that Diggs was there. And I would think something weird would have to happen then for that to happen with this guy, tomorrow, because probably they'll just do what they usually do, which is kind of downplay everything.
Right.
But that was this week.
That's right. That was mandatory minicamp, first day, media availability. When McDermott spoke, he did incite it.
Are we going to get McDermott to say he's very concerned tomorrow? Or is he just going to talk the way he did last week or 2 weeks ago?
I would guess, a couple things that could contribute to this. I would guess he sounds more like he did when he last spoke about it, simply because he, I think, probably realizes he didn't help the situation, the Diggs situation, by talking like he talked.
Okay.
And so I might guess, experience might tell him to sort of slow play this, not, talk about any concerning terms or anything. And it's not saying that might not be that's how I would want to play it, because I still think, as much as this is not ideal, him not coming in for this, I think it is to be expected. And if you get to very concerned now, where are you going to be if he doesn't come in at the end of July? Even doubly more concern. Leave yourself some concern room is all I'm suggesting for Sean McDermott. And I don't think right now, like we talked about earlier, this is just a barometer of people I'm friends with. I don't get bogged down in whether he's going to. I would like everyone to be here and holding hands and singing songs together and happy. That would be great. But I don't think it's that big a deal if he's not here for this. It happens all the time in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that big a deal.
I don't think it's that big a deal if he's not in the field week 1.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Right? Isn't that the point?
Right.
That's what's behind the. Who knows? We've talked about this so much. But your position, and I would love to hear you challenged on this, but I don't know, it's sort of pulling teeth to get anybody to talk about this for me. Your position is more I think the Bills should do nothing.
Right.
And I just think there's a point at which they go, okay, well, fine, here, funny using that word for this player, but, just
fine, right.
here's $25 million over 3 years, congrats. And it really doesn't hurt the Bills too much because there are all kinds of different ways to maneuver, and, the cap always goes up. So this is all starting like in 2026 anyway. Here's that money. We like you. Of course, listen tomorrow for everybody and every chance they get to tell you how much they love him.
Yeah.
Because it always has to be, we love Jimbo.
Right. Well,
so
the trick about that, like I also think the Bills would probably prefer to get the situation settled and prefer to have him at a number that they would be comfortable with moving forward. I think he does have value for them for, the next season after this and another one or so. So a few years down the road isn't a big deal. He's got to be willing to make that compromise, though. And I don't know, a lot of this could be posturing. This could be, I'm saying I want 15, but I really would take 12.
Yep.
But I don't know that, and so he's got to be agreeable to a compromise, and that is still certainly in the window, but I don't need it. Like, I think the Bills are positioned. Again, it's not position A. It's not ideal, but I think eventually the player is going to realize the best way. If I don't want to settle for 10, 11, or 12. I wanted 15, and the best way for me to get that is to get on the field and have another year and shut everybody up. And that very likely comes from another team, because I doubt the price that he's willing to play for the Bills for goes down if he has that year again, like comes to their meeting place. And so I'm comfortable letting him play it out, and I think you have to be in order to play it this way, and I assume that the Bills are.
It's one where I really want it to drag on, at least until July, because I want to know more about how the Bills see it. Mm-hmm. I want to see if they value, a quote RB1 to the extent where they sort of get nervous about him. And even though they keep saying to themselves, he really doesn't have any leverage, we can franchise him, he doesn't get the year accrued if he doesn't show up, all these different things that they sort of continue to tell themselves like he's going to walk in the door, and then he never does. When do they sort of do anything about it other than capitulate on his terms or something? But could they bring somebody in, or just what would be their next move if they changed how they felt about his level of seriousness? I'd like to know that answer, because I'm not worried about any of this really affecting the season. So for me, I can live with that. I'm not. Mm-hmm. If it's Allen, obviously it's different. And oh no, wait, what do we have to do for him? Is it worth it? And now we're talking. Everything's on the table. If Allen ever got to a point where you knew the same, he might have had the same thoughts. Who knows if he does? But they're not. He got his contract redone, but they're not out in the space.
No, people would be lighting candles about that. I might be one of them.
Oh, well,
that would be a very.
We'd have a GoFundMe page for him.
Very
the poor guy.
Right.
Can we raise $10 million
right.
so that Josh Allen's happy?
Right.
That would be so different. And for me, it would be okay, well, and I'm not saying this is the Bills at all, because the Bills would probably not be like this. But it would be okay, well, the whole thing's shot if he doesn't come in. So what do I have to do? If you're watching, my hands are out, I'm sort of in this posture, all right, what do I have to do if Josh Allen doesn't want to come to practice? Mandatory minicamp, whatever. It might happen someday. But, we're not there. And just you would think, most people would think the entire season is over immediately before it starts if he doesn't play. Cook, to me, is almost exactly the opposite, where there's almost nothing riding on it in my mind. It's just, okay, well, welcome to the starting lineup, Ray Davis, right? Or Ty Johnson, or Darrington Evans, or whoever.
Frank Gore Jr.
Whoever.
Down the whole list, right?
There'll be running backs on teams that are going to get stuck, and bring them in. Let's just go to the next thing. And so because I have that attitude about it, which you don't have to have yourself, because I have that attitude about it, I want to see, I don't mean doomsday, but I want it to last.
No, yeah, no. There is there's an intellectual curiosity about the running backs. Don't pay them, whatever
right.
stance I have about it. Yeah, your eagerness to see it taken out for a spin and either validated or blown up in this particular case. There's that is riding concurrently with I just want him to come in and I want what's best for the team because just get him in here. He matters somewhat, I think. But on the other hand, I don't know, I might like to see it without him. Just once and for all locally, we'd have some at least a flag to plant. And, the ability to say, well, that certainly didn't pan out. They didn't just plug another guy in and not miss a beat. Or, well, they actually did. And it's everybody eats except it's the running back room instead of the receiver room. And it turned out fine.
Right. I still think this is all just for us to pass the time. I think it is the West Wing episode. I think probably Cook will not practice this week if he's here at all. He almost I've thought has to go that far for what it is he's said already. He can't just show up for mandatory minicamp on his deal. What's even that? So I think we get through this week and probably continue to wonder what's going to happen. And I still think it'll probably be a deal that even maybe Cook is ready to agree to. But he's going to take this week off because so what? Practically speaking, so what if he's not there this week? From his preparation standpoint, from his fitness standpoint, anything. Is he going to play in the preseason at all? He'll be
probably not.
Maybe not. He'll be at practice and do some of that, but it'll be very measured, right? Because the number one in July, August is nobody get hurt. And he's a running back, so every touch is like a notch off his lifespan. You'll just you get to week one, and there he is for Baltimore. And however many reps he's had or touches he's had and all these practices will be probably considered irrelevant unless he fumbles, and then we'll only hear about how he should have been on the field for minicamp.
Practicing holding onto the ball more. Yeah.
Yes. He fumbled once last year, right?
Yes. I wonder, now that I'm thinking about it, I think he does, I'm almost sure of this, he falls into, because of his 3 years of experience, I think he falls into a group of players who can have fines like the ones he's about to start incurring if he does not show up tomorrow, forgiven.
Yes, I believe that's right.
It's funny, in a way, whereas you could be encouraged if he shows up and, say, starts a hold-in tomorrow. I'm here, right? I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm here. I've reported. I'm just not going to participate. And whereas if he – and, you think, oh, he's here. Well, that must be a good sign about maybe a contract getting done or something. Well, I don't know. If he thinks a contract's going to get done – and he's got a compromise in mind that's nearer a Bills number. If they must have some ballpark idea, I would think, from negotiating as badly as it may have gone. You got some idea where you stand. And if you think you'll take that number, then incur some fines and just have them forgiven. Whereas if he's not here and doesn't settle it, then he's going to have to pay that. And I don't know, maybe that's a sign. Do you follow me? It's a little backwards. Him coming in would be peaceful, but it might not necessarily mean a contract because he might just be trying to avoid having to pay the fines.
Maybe.
That could be forgiven if he gets a deal done and misses.
Go to Spain and drive as fast as you want because you know that when you get home, you're not going to have to pay for it. Just don't hit anybody.
People we know have done this.
Easy game.
Yep.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog will look for your calls as we go through the day. As always, 803-0550. If you have a thought, how important is James Cook? Of course, we've talked about it many times. This is the week. Tomorrow is the day where it becomes more of a real thing if he's not practicing. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back. This is WGR.
the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
start of training camp will be the next critical moment. If they don't have a deal done there by then, does James Cook show up for training camp? Does he risk the penalties that come along in the collective bargaining agreement if he doesn't show up? But look, we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason reward Saquon Barkley. We've seen the Baltimore Ravens reward Derrick Henry. We have not seen the Buffalo Bills pay James Cook yet.
Adam Schefter. That word reward is a trigger for me too. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess, but we should know not to work like that, as not as a reporter, but as a GM. Like, we should know past performance does not equal future results. Your reward was the money we gave you already. You sign Saquon Barkley to a new deal, not only, if at all, because you want to reward him. I mean, it's the so-called best GM in the league, right? Wouldn't he know enough to just not, is he going to reward all the guys because they won a ring? Like, no, he's not interested in rewarding them. He wants to keep it going. He wants to win again. And so, it's not a reward as much as it is an investment. You're deciding that Barkley is, there's more to it. Like, he's worth enough for you to want to be willing to pay him more and sort of do away with any other ancillary concerns that might arise. And that's the Bills with Cook. Do they want to reward him for 16 rushing touchdowns? They want to invest in him, and they want to fend off any discord. So here you go.
And they want to time it right. Right? You don't want to get stuck on the wrong end of a bad deal. You certainly don't want to disrupt your team in any dramatic way, which, losing your number one running back who did score 16 touchdowns for you last year, could be perceived as a way to disrupt your team. How disruptive it will end up being is, something we would be debating, surely. Although if it doesn't disrupt it much, then maybe there wouldn't be much debate. But I don't know. I do feel like Henry and Barkley both got reward. They both got contracts last offseason and then got more because they delivered. And I feel like that is the very definition of a reward. Yes, it is an investment in the future, but you had neither of those guys needed to have there was nothing pressing there. It just felt like, I don't know, keeping the peace at some other level that my brain isn't even really operating at. Like, were either of those guys going to be a problem for you if you didn't do it? I mean, I don't know. And I also think it is important to point out they play the same position, all three guys, Cook, Barkley, and Derrick Henry, but they do not play the same position the same way. The amount of time, although I don't know Henry's snap percent.
Well, he doesn't catch the ball.
Right, so he's not as much like Barkley is way in the 80s, right? Percentage-wise.
Snaps-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that high, but it's high.
Okay.
But he's a three down back.
Right. And Henry is not, and Cook definitely is not.
Cook is definitely not.
So, lumping him in with guys that play that much, at least in the case of Barkley. Again, I want to pump the brakes on Henry somewhat. So what was Cook, 45%? 40, somewhere between 44 and 47. I always feel like it fluctuates depending on what site you look at, maybe. I don't know.
Last year, Henry was 57.
Okay.
I mean, that's not...
It's not loads more.
Kyren Williams, I think, was 84.
Okay.
For the Rams.
That might be the number I have in my head with Barkley, and his is probably just somewhere between 75 and 80.
Barkley is 74.
Okay.
So considerably more than Henry.
Right.
And Henry is more than Cook. And Kyren Williams is more than all of them.
Right. And he's not making $20 million a year.
No, not yet. Where's his contract? He's been good.
Is that 2 years? He's 2 years in, right?
No, more. So I'll keep this short. Kyren Williams, what year is Bills-Rams opening night? 22?
Right.
Kyren Williams takes the opening kickoff of that game, gets hurt on the play against the Bills in week 1. First play of the season. He gets hurt on that play. And he was like a last-round fantasy dart throw that died on the opening kickoff of the first game of the season. And so then everybody kind of forgot about him. And the last 2 years, he just doesn't come off the field. What the Rams did last year was give Blake Corum, a third-round pick out of Michigan, rookie. They would give him every third possession. He would play. Is this what the Bills did with Davis? Kenneth Davis, a long time ago. Every third possession, it would be Corum, just by design. That was what they did. But Williams, he just played constantly otherwise. So it's 3 years in, same as Cook.
So he is. I was just pondering whether he was eligible for a contract, and assuming he wasn't a first-round pick, then he is. He
was definitely not a first-round pick. Okay. He was a fifth-round pick.
So he's the same timeline as Cook then.
Yeah, I guess. And last year he was, what did I say, 84? 87.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
82% the year before, 87% last year, Kyren Williams. Well, I don't know what his contract looks like, or what I have not heard about that for a second, whether they should give him the same thing.
Right.
I don't know. Speaking of running backs, today the Texans are signing Nick Chubb. Reportedly, he has passed his physical.
All right.
They have Joe Mixon, I guess, in a walking boot, but they're downplaying it. Just like the coach is downplaying Stroud, who we won't say whether he had his shoulder examined or anything, whatever that is. But they're signing Nick Chubb. They also drafted a player named Woody Marks out of USC, I think, whose name is Woody because he loved Toy Story. And he went on Halloween as Woody 7 times.
This. Yeah.
7 years in a row, Woody was his Halloween costume. Now he's on the Texans, which I have never had a costume. Maybe if I got lazy twice. Maybe. I'll put the jersey, the Leaf jersey on, whatever. Maybe.
Is there a moment in time, and maybe are we there, where him being called Woody because he loved Woody from the Toy Story movies is not any longer that cool? Does he regret it at some point? Call me by my name.
His name is Joe Quavius, which is great.
Yes.
When he's ready to move to Joe Quavius, so I'm ready too. I'm in.
Or even JQ for short.
JQ Marks.
You got it going on, man. That sounds great.
Love it. I'm ready when he is.
Woody, as far as nicknames go, Woody is really good, I think. Woody is a great.
I totally disagree.
Oh. I just think being associated with a cartoon character as a grown man playing football maybe is not tough. Said radio's the Bulldog.
Yes, right.
Turned 60 in July. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Yes.
Self-awareness moment. Thank you.
Does the nickname Woody make you think he'll be a better running back than if he went by Joe Quavius? No. Woody does not help your brand as a football player, I think.
No, that's kind of what I'm saying. I like it as a nickname, but I'm just not sure. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Give the ball to Woody? What is this? Is this a move? Is this a rom-com? Give the ball to Woody? You don't give the ball to Woody. But actually, he's great. It's like Rudy. Woody is Rudy.
Chanting Woody.
Yeah. Woody is Rudy. Undersized, no name from nowhere who actually is great, and he has to overcome all the adversity. Every sports movie. He has to overcome all the obstacles and all the coaches who think he's too small. But then here comes Woody, and he's actually great, and the fans love him. He's their favorite player ever. Woody Marks. Anyway, Nick Chubb signing with Houston as that backfield gets a little bit more crowded.
We're rooting for you, Nick Chubb.
I'm rooting for Nick Chubb. I'm not drafting him. I'm rooting for Nick Chubb. Very likable, great player for Cleveland who's had big injuries. Maybe he still has it. It's a lot to ask.
I think it is. I'm rooting for him. I'm not super optimistic, but I'm rooting for him.
Yes. Have you been? You're not a PFF subscriber, or are you?
No, I'm not.
So they've been doing a series this spring. Is it okay if I still call it spring? They've been doing a thing where they're redrafting old drafts.
Okay, I've seen this on Twitter. Yes.
And today's was 2011. So that's a fun one. That's the Bills picking Marcel Darius at 3. Right? That was 3?
Newton 1, Von Miller 2, Darius 3.
That's correct, isn't it?
I think that's right.
And then, like, A.J. Green, maybe?
That sounds right.
So, there's nothing scientific really about it. It's just, if you knew everything that was going to happen, who would be drafting whom? What would be, the right pick? And what they did was they said Newton was still the right pick at number 1. Best player in franchise history, arguably. League MVP. Took the Panthers to a Super Bowl. Imagine someone doing that. So, Cam Newton still would have been, according to PFF, still would have been the right pick at 1 overall.
Jake Delhomme on line 1 would like a word.
Oh, my God. Cut his mic. Second overall, Denver picked Von Miller. The PFF redraft pick for Denver was Von Miller.
That's a pretty good job.
Super Bowl MVP was still like the right pick at 102. Darius did not end up being the so-called right pick for the Bills at 103. J.J. Watt like I could have asked you, but I don't know if you would remember. I don't remember drafts like that, years, guys by years. But J.J. Watt went 11th in that draft to Houston, of course, and they said, well, he would have been the right pick at 103. I will ask you to guess this, though. Just, without knowing much, if anything else, about the rest of that draft. Except I mentioned Julio Jones, right? A.J. Green, yep. I mentioned A.J. Green and Julio Jones. Patrick Peterson was a guy we talked about then. Yes, we were here. Where would you think Darius would slot in? Is that a question you think you can answer? Like take a guess at without knowing the whole.
As soon as you brought it up and started talking and said that's the year that took Darius third, I thought, where does he go?
That's the question.
Yeah, I think it's a fair. I like the question. I'm not sure. I'm not sitting here with the rest of that draft in front of me to think about it, but I don't think he would warrant. Do you have the whole first round so you know where he goes?
I know the number. Do I have the whole first round open? I may not.
I'm going to say he goes by pick 20.
19.
Okay.
Easy game. He does go by pick 20. Jason Kelsey went late in the 6th round of that draft. He's up there. Richard Sherman went in you always have this, in the middle of the 5th round. He's up there. Tyrod Taylor in the 6th round that year. He does not come in above 19, but PFF put him 19th to the Giants.
Yeah. Even though I don't subscribe, so I don't see all the articles. I follow them on social media, and whatever year it was, the year the Bills picked Paul Posluszny, they did a redo of that draft, and Posluszny was in the first round in the teens.
That's the same then, right? Or was he a second-round pick here?
No, it was a second-round pick. Yeah, I thought, well, he played a long time and was, a pretty good inside linebacker, I guess. He just was higher than I would have ever thought he would be.
34th overall in 2010. That's the year before.
I think he went up to he was in the mid, maybe exactly half that, 17 or somewhere like that. I feel like he was slotted in mid first round territory when he did the redraft.
I'm on his Pro Football Reference page right now. He's 40. That seem right?
Sure. Yeah.
I always sort of stop at long retired players, any sport, who are like, oh yeah, they're 31 now. They've been retired for 7 years, and they're actually 31 years old.
Right.
Oh, wow. I guess there's a lot of life ahead. But Paul Posluszny is 40. And he played 45 games for the Bills, 95 for Jacksonville.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of easy to lose track of him. But like I said, when I saw that ranking, I thought, boy, how long did he go? I remember looking, and I remember it was close to 100 games down there. He had a solid long career.
Did I say 2010? I meant 2007. His draft.
Okay.
That wasn't the 10. That was the 2007 draft, where the Bills drafted Lynch.
Right, and then the next year is Whitner, I think, is 08.
Maybe. Okay. I'd like to read the 2007 redo. Adrian Peterson at 7. Lynch at 12. Darrell Revis at 14.
Well, I bet you can find it on their site.
I bet you're right. You've seen it.
Yeah. Well, I saw just a graphic that had like picks, I don't know, 20 through 10 or something on it, and that's how I saw Posluszny in a first round spot in that draft.
Very good. We'll take a break. On the Stanley Cup Finals, George Richards, who covers the Panthers, will join us at 4, get in some hockey today. And later, Brian Koziol will step in on the heels of the Canadian Open. Interesting, long playoff yesterday. I was riveted by that. The U.S. Open is this week outside of Pittsburgh, and with Brian, we'll talk about all of it later on. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. The video. 1,000 people are watching it at one time. 8 people have clicked the like button, and that's offensive. In that community, no. Just please go out of your way, if you must, and just click on the thumbs up. Do we have the thumbs up? We do. Yeah, all right. Please click the like button. Yeah. It helps to grow. I believe it helps to grow the program.
Does it tell
the algorithms like it when you get more likes?
Does it reveal the identity of the person clicking the like?
Not on YouTube.
Okay, I'm going to click it then.
In sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plan. long timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Up top of the hour, George Richards, longtime Panthers scribe, will join us. Brian Koziol later. Did you watch a lot of the golf yesterday?
I did watch a lot of the golf yesterday. Yes, the playoff was it was really quite something. This is for a tournament where the scores were so low. It was interesting to watch them just do the same thing over and over again. Well, it was, 3 times. It took a fourth playoff hole, same hole. They moved the hole location between the third tries and the fourth tries. I think I've got the timing on that right.
Or the second and the third.
Second and the third it was?
Maybe.
Okay. But they finally somebody got the 3-wood out, and the crowd egged them on, and that Fox guy nailed it. So, yeah, finally. So I watched a good bit of it, yeah.
I thought, and I tweeted this, and the timing was lucky, Sam Burns, they kept talking about how it was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
He was done playing for 2 hours. And I wondered what the odds were. I was driving and didn't track anything in terms of the betting odds. But I would think that when he got in at minus 18 with so many guys still on the course who were, 1, 2, 3 shots behind, that he would not have been favored. And then the day goes longer and longer and longer, and each contender messed it up. Cameron Young, he makes an amazing par on 17, goes to the easier 18th, and then blows the second shot past the green, kind of blows it, chunks the chip. And I think if I were Burns, or a better, almost like in the same way, kind of the whole day is, like, he goes to the range, right? They keep showing him on the range. He's either going to in his mind, I think he's either going to a playoff or he's beat. And as the day goes on, it just doesn't come. Like, everybody seems to just mess it up. And Fox, who would get him at the last minute, I think that Fox playing it, he's the only guy left with a chance. His playing that hole is, if I'm Burns, the first time I sort of opened my mind to the idea that I'm going to win without having to go back on the course.
Right.
Because Fox's second shot is bad. Like, he has to make, what is that, 15 feet longer to tie. And, like, this is where if I'm the other guy, I'm like, okay, I think I got it.
Yep.
And then he makes the putt, like, oh, no.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
Finally, I gave in to the idea that I was going to win, and then this happens, and I'm not going to win yet.
I wonder how closely you watch in a situation like that. Right? I mean, all we see is really mostly, I guess I have seen in other years footage of a player like Burns was yesterday sitting somewhere and watching some of the players coming in trying to catch him or beat him. But mostly you just see pictures of that guy on the range.
Yeah.
Like, here he is. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. Like you're saying, eventually it's 2 hours between competitive swings for this guy. But I wonder, every shot would, it's kind of like if you're gambling on it, every shot messes with you, right? You're overly excited. Oh, he's in the fairway. He's only 160 out. I think you might be better off if you're trying to keep yourself in a headspace where you might have to go back and compete. Like, riding that roller coaster probably is very unhealthy.
Right, totally.
So I wonder if he just did he par that? Just every 15 minutes get an update. But watching it shot to shot, I think would be maddening.
Total 100%. No way you'd want to do that. But as it gets later, you're standing on the range for like an hour and a half. Right. I think you'd be like, how is it possible that I am going to win without having to go back out? And then, It does. It finally seemed maybe, and then it was pulled. Still, he probably should have won in the playoff, but he, missed a couple putts, whatever. He couldn't birdie that hole anymore.
Did it stand out to you? Were you driving and listening, or were you watching?
For a while, yeah.
Okay.
I saw the last couple hours.
Okay, because I was talking about this with guys I played with today. How hard Immelman was on him when he left that putt short. Like I think it was the second playoff, the second time they played 18, if not the first. He left a shortish putt short, and Immelman just went with, I can't believe he did that. Not, boy, you hate to do that, tough to leave it. Just, I can't believe he left that short. It was such a strong rebuke of the bad putt. I just wow.
Didn't notice.
That's a little bit more than was needed there. It was a little less gentle than you're used to the golf guys being usually, I think.
We'll talk Oilers-Panthers Game 3 tonight after the update here on WGR.
Minicamp will get underway starting tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills, and one of the biggest storylines for the Bills to follow will be if running back James Cook will be in attendance. Cook missed OTAs, and ESPN's Adam Schefter says he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon as he looks for a new contract. Cook does have 1 year left on his rookie deal. The Packers are releasing Pro Bowl corner Jair Alexander. Alexander has played just 14 total games over the past 2 years. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported this morning that earlier this offseason, Green Bay and the Bills held talks over Alexander. The Texans are signing running back Nick Chubb. He has reportedly passed his physical. And the Colts, they have announced details of the transition of ownership with the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters will all play a role, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight in Florida. The Panthers will host the Oilers. Game time at 8, and our coverage right here on WGR will get underway at 7:30. And that coverage is presented by Figo Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. For Florida, A.J. Greer back in the lineup, while Oilers, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is considered a game-time decision. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp.
It's nothing you did.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's you, but you didn't cross me.
And the Bulldog.
Why did I choose? Why did I just stay in school?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back. Game 3 of the finals tonight in South Florida. George Richards with us now. Has been covering the Panthers for many years. Now as the publisher with FloridaHockeyNow.com. George, nice of you to talk to us on a game day. I guess I still have scar tissue from being around baseball in the mid-'90s and once maybe daring to approach that night's starting pitcher and still walking around with the damage. How are you?
How are you? What's going on?
When do you get to the arena normally on a game day?
On a game day? Like a normal game day or a today game day?
Maybe it's different today. Game 3?
It's a little different today. Usually I get here about an hour and a half before, and right now I'm sitting in the gigantic parking lot here in Sunrise with the sunshade up because it's 90 degrees.
All right.
And, great hockey weather. People are fired up.
How is that all going down there, George? We all know this is a third straight year in the finals. Would you say like the season like is it taken hold maybe how Tampa has a few years ahead of you in Florida? Like is it stable to the point where like you can't imagine this market not having a team anymore?
Yeah, I think you could say that just because of the ownership with Vinny Viola taking over. He's really transformed this hockey organization. Just like Vinnick did in Tampa, right? I mean, you've seen the growth around the Tampa Bay arena with everything that's going on there, and the Panthers. Yes, a couple years later, but they've built a similar setup. Two completely different markets. However, this is still a different place, but probably more. It's like Los Angeles almost. I mean, it's just big. There's people from everywhere else. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers have truly taken hold in this market, and you've got people from all over just jumping in. And listen, we went. You know what you guys are going through in Buffalo with not making the playoff. The Panthers started that, right? I mean, the Panthers went from 2000 to 2012 without making the playoffs. They make the playoffs. They finish in last place. The next year. And they just never had any sustained winning, and it was tough to grow down here. And now you see the consistency. You see this team year after year, not just the Stanley Cup Finals, but starting in 2019, 2020, every year getting better. And people feel like they can be part of this now, as opposed to, say, the Miami Marlins, who every couple years, I love this play, I love Jazz, gone. Gone. You know what I mean? The Marlins right now are looked at as like a AAA team of other teams.
Well, George, we were talking about this last week one day, and one of my favorite things about this Panthers team is that they finished at the top of the league 3 seasons ago now. And I remember talking to you late in that year because they were in a race for that last playoff spot in the East with the Sabres. And I remember joking with you how long it had been since I had talked to a reporter from a team the Sabres were playing that night because the games just hadn't been that important in a long time. And anyway, we know how that went. But the thing is, like, even in the midst of that, that year was an overhaul year. They won the President's Trophy and then blew it up. And I think that takes a lot of guts, and they did it. And Tkachuk has been, I think, well, you can tell us, it seems like a franchise changer.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you look at that 2022 team that won the President's Cup, and everybody's riding high, and the Panthers are beating everybody 8-4, 7-3. Then they get into the playoffs, and they struggle a little bit against Washington. They very well could have lost in the first round to Washington. They survive that, win in 6. Then they just get absolutely stomped by the Tampa Bay Lightning in round 2. And the Panthers are like, this is not how we're going to succeed. I mean, we can win all we want in the regular season, but if this is how it's going to go in the playoffs, we got to change our team. And they did. They hired Paul Maurice as the coach. They made that big trade, sending Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar to Calgary for Matthew Tkachuk. And he has been a difference maker. You look at Sasha Barkov as the captain of this team. They are two different people, and they complement each other extremely well. But, Matthew Tkachuk has absolutely been a franchise changer for the Florida Panthers.
And then eventually Sam Reinhart in there too. George,
Yep.
so I'm, if you don't mind, more curious about just like, because Bulldog reference, we talked about the massive, relatively recent growth of that team the last few years. We've been here a long time, and I don't think it's anything that's news to you to hear somebody say like the Northeast hockey fan would often condescend to the teams in the Southeast or the fans. You have half-empty buildings, and like Buffalo is trying to get somewhere in this sport for so long, and you're watching Vegas pop up a team and win immediately, and just on and on. What more? I mean, I don't want to ask you to just go on all day, but what are the key points in how the Panthers made that jump so that like they have this incredible scene there that aren't just simply winning games? I think it has to be more, whether it's marketing or something else, to get to a point where now you have like a really great scene there.
Well, palm trees help, right?
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
No. Just kidding. Listen, they've built a culture, and you talk about the Sam Reinharts coming here and the Sam Bennetts, and obviously Matthew Tkachuk, but Radko Gudas, Carter Verhaeghe, Anthony DeClaire, these players, people fell in love with the way the team played and their style of play and just their personalities on and off the ice. They do a very good job of marketing this team, but it did come down. This is call it front running if you want, but this is a big event town. People just don't want to be. People want to be seen at things down here, and a winning team certainly helps that. Listen, Bill Zito took this team over in 2020 after the bubble. Florida gets knocked out in the play-in round against the Islanders. Gail Talon, they part ways. They bring in Bill Zito. The first thing he does, 10 days into the deal, he brings in Patrick Hornquist, and everything changes from there. There's only 4 players left on this team from when Bill Zito took over. You would think that's a complete teardown, right? That's a complete rebuild. You're going to go through years. You're moving that many players. This team has gotten better every single year because of the players that they've added, because of the pieces that they've added, and players want to be here. This is, for the first time, become a destination franchise because of the ownership, because of what they've done. They built a training facility in Fort Lauderdale. Why? They like Fort Lauderdale? No, because all the players live there and they can ride their, drive their golf carts there. They've done all the little things that are big things,
Makes sense.
Mike referred to Reinhart eventually getting there, George, and that's a player obviously we're intimately familiar with here in Buffalo, where he began his career. And this show, myself, Mike, I think I speak for him. We were bullish on Sam Reinhart. But with that said, so I'm not surprised he became a top shelf scorer in the league necessarily in the right spot. The two-way play, like him getting Selke votes, is not something I ever had on my scorecard. Can you talk a little bit about his evolution since he arrived there, what you thought the Panthers were getting, and what they now have in Sam Reinhart?
He's just a guy that, hates to lose, and he was miserable losing. I remember his last year in Buffalo, they had him at center. He was terrific there. He scored all those goals late in the year. But then he comes here, and, he starts playing with Anton Lindell and Etsy Luosterainen. And that's where I think that's where the defensive change kind of happened. But, he had 58 goals last year, and he got Selke votes. This year he finishes second in the Selke, playing with Barkov. And, Barkov is, the new Selke king. And you've got Barkov and Reinhart playing both ends of the ice. Neither player has scored in these finals, and Paul Maurice couldn't be happier with their play because they're going against McDavid and Draisaitl, and they're doing all this stuff to slow those guys down. They're doing what the Panthers need to be done. Reinhart's been, absolutely terrific here. He signed a deal that probably, last year, what was the talk? Reinhart has completely priced himself out of the Panthers' plans because of the season he had. And then he signs here for a contract that he could have gotten a lot more somewhere else. He loves playing here. He loves playing with this team. He's a gigantic part of the fabric of the Florida Panthers. And, his game has just gone to another level.
Bulldog may have asked you this. Did you expect it? Like he's not wrong. We both really liked Reinhart, and that might not sound like anything because what you might think, like, why wouldn't you? But it wasn't. He wasn't Eichel in terms of just like looking undeniable. Just more nuanced game, more complete, maybe whatever. Eichel's great too. But when that trade happened, was he for you somebody like, all right, that is a great get?
Yeah, I mean, I when that happened on the draft day, the COVID draft or the second COVID draft, where you were like, the first night it was rumored and it was like, man, that's a huge get for the Panthers, and then it becomes official on day two, and you're like, wow, what a nice piece, especially because Florida had already hit on Sam Bennett, a player who was misused in Calgary. Brandon Montour had come at the deadline previously. So Brandon Montour ends up re-signing with the Panthers. And it just seemed to be a real nice fit. He was just a real nice addition. And again, another guy who I talked to him about 2-3 months ago. We were talking about that deal going down, and he goes, I was a restricted free agent. I was like, did you tell them you would only go to Florida? Kind of like, Matthew Tkachuk had a list of 3 teams, and he kind of winked, and it was like, I didn't really, they knew where I wanted to go, and they knew they knew to send me there or it was going to be a problem. So he kind of manipulated things to get here. I was like, well, why? Florida hadn't really done anything, right? I mean, they hadn't done anything. Why would you want it? He was like, because you could see it. You could see the way this team played. You could see that the way that they worked together, that he wanted to be a part of it. And I think that's kind of one of those turnaround deals for a player where you want to be somewhere, you want to be part of it, and maybe, your whole perception of life changes.
You mentioned when we were talking about Reinhart a few moments ago that everyone thought he was going to play his way out of Florida because they just wouldn't be able to afford to keep him. Right. And now you mentioned Bennett. And same draft class here. We knew plenty about Sam Bennett and Aaron Ekblad and Draisaitl, too, from that 14 draft where the Sabres ended up getting Reinhart. Now Bennett reads like the guy who's going to, every goal he scores in these playoffs here, and the reputation for being the playoff player grows, but yet you're talking about a guy that doesn't really get, 60 points or 30 goals in regular season play. What do you think the future holds for him, recognizing that we haven't even really talked about this series yet, which hopefully we'll have a few moments to do after this? What do you think about Bennett and where he heads after this? Do you think he stays?
Well, he's done a great job for himself, right? I mean, you were already looking at him as being, one of the top few free agents on the market, just like Reinhart last year. Florida had ended up going to the wire, right? I mean, Florida didn't sign him until late, what is it, July 31st or whatever, before free agency opened. That might be the same thing here with Bennett. Florida's got $19 million under the cap. They've got Bennett. They've got Aaron Ekblad. They've got that Brad Marchand fellow, which, I don't think that he's going to stick around. And then you've got to fill out your team. So that $19 million is going to get sucked up pretty quickly. But again, Sam Bennett, there's talk about a $10 million deal. This is the same thing that was being said last year around Sam Reinhart. He's going to get $10 million. He's going to get $11 million, whatever it is. I think Sam Bennett's going to stay. He's going to get a fair deal. Bill Zito has made it clear we give our guys fair deals, and they understand that to keep the band together, sometimes you have to take a little bit less so the other guy gets a little bit less, but we're able to keep them together. Sam Bennett, and I haven't really said anything about this, Sam Bennett was the only Florida Panther player who was at Aaron Ekblad's Cup party last year in Windsor, Ontario. Those two are tight, and if it means a little bit less to keep Aaron Ekblad, maybe that's what happens. But we'll have to wait and see.
Quickly on Marchand, George Richards, our guest for just a couple more minutes here, staying cool in his car in the parking lot in advance of Game 3, hopefully staying cool.
The air cranks, baby. The air is cranking.
I would hope. What has the if this can be a short answer, I don't know, but maybe it can be very short. What has the Marchand impact been?
Unbelievable. Is that good enough? Listen, everything the Panthers could have dreamed Brad Marchand would be, I think, has been exceeded. It took him a couple games to get going. He came to the Panthers. He was injured when the Panthers traded for him, so it took him a couple weeks to even get into the lineup. Yep. And then Paul Maurice was, kind of playing around, seeing where he would fit. Ever since he went with Eetu Luostarinen and Anton Lundell on the right side of that third line, it's just been absolute fantastic hockey. The Tampa Bay Lightning had no answer for it, and we're like, okay, well, people are going to adjust to it. The Toronto Maple Leafs had no answer for it, neither did the Carolina Hurricanes. The three of them together have been absolute fire, and Brad Marchand has just fit into this team as perfect as you could hope for, and I think you got to give credit to Sam Bennett for making the peace after all the stuff that went down between these two guys and these two teams. Let's not forget, Brad Marchand almost ended this run for the Florida Panthers before it even started. He had a breakaway in Game 5 and 22 that could have knocked the Panthers out in 5. He misses the shot. Florida ends up winning Game 5 and ends up winning that series. They end up upsetting those Boston Bruins in 7. And look at the Panthers now. Brad Marchand could have ended it before it even started. And now here he is, hating the Panthers all, for the last 2 years, grinding his teeth, getting knocked out by Sam Bennett last year. And now they're best buds and they're all going to Dairy Queen and, all that stuff. So it's been, the Panthers could not have hoped for anything better than that.
The series has been great so far in my eyes. 1-1 going into Game 3 tonight. I think Game 2 is going to be a very high bar to clear. That if not for the Four Nations face-off this year, I think that's the hockey game of the year. It just, especially early, had everything, including some bad blood about goalie collisions. We talked about Bennett already, Corey Perry on the Edmonton side. Do you have a sense that is just something that's going to continue here as the series shifts to Florida?
Well, we can only hope so, right? I mean, it's been terrific drama. That's why sports. That's why all these networks are still paying big money for sports, is because you just never know what's going to happen. You've got to watch. You can't watch this on tape. You've got to watch it to live it. And these first two games have been absolute great theater. You hope it continues. There's no reason to expect it won't. These two teams are, as close as two teams could be. If you look at any metric, I mean, they look like mirror images of each other's numbers-wise. So it should be a lot of fun. And listen, with all the media that's here, the whole Sam Bennett running in the goalies thing has just been amplified. Darnell Nurse was talking about it today, or Vander Kane was talking about it. That Nurse talked about it yesterday. Or Vander Kane brought it up today. So, yeah, I mean, it should be a lot of fun tonight.
Evander Kane, Jeff Skinner, Evan Rodriguez, Montour, Kulikov, Reinhart.
Yep.
A lot of. Well, I guess this is maybe to be expected these days with how many players the Sabres have been through. Oposo last year, former Sabres all over the finals again. Very good, George. Bad news. Time to turn the car off and
now I gotta walk.
Sweat your way inside.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be schwitzing.
Thanks for your time today, George.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
George Richards, FloridaHockeyNow.com on a game day. Oh, so much of that is just so gross. Marchand.
Yeah, I know.
The sweat. I don't mean the sweat.
Yeah,
like
no,
the players.
how hot it is. Yeah, no,
Reinhart.
it'll be hot here eventually. It's not today, but yeah.
Just the Sabre life.
Yeah, I'm watching that game Friday night. I don't know, between Bennett and his reputation and Marchand and just all of it, I don't know if I've ever loved and hated something as equally as I love and hate the Florida Panthers. And part of the reason I love them is because they do things that make me hate them. Like in hockey, that is, I don't know, it's not necessarily a requirement, but it certainly can get you, to the next level. If you've got guys that are willing to do, quote unquote, whatever it takes. And Bennett definitely has enhanced his reputation as a whatever it takes. Oh, you pushed me. Oh, now I have fallen on your goalie's knee. I mean, he's an artist, this guy.
I'm this way about chips.
You hate them so much that you love them?
I love chips, but when I'm eating them, it's usually like 11 at night when it happens, and it doesn't happen as much as it used to. But just like, I hate you chips. I hate you chips for being here.
So good and crunchy.
Right now, I do not need this right now, but I'm having it. Chips. The Florida Panthers, the chips of hockey. Okay, 803-0550 is the number. James Cook week, maybe. Guess only if he doesn't show, and seems like that's most people's expectation. We'd love to know what you would do if you were the Bills with Cook. Are you ready to pay him? Are you ready to trade him? 803-0550, again, the number. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
Mandatory minicamp will get underway starting tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills, and one of the major storylines heading into this week will be if running back James Cook will be in attendance. Cook did miss OTAs, and over the weekend, ESPN's Adam Schefter says he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon as he looks for a new contract. Cook does have 1 year left on his rookie deal. The Packers are officially releasing Pro Bowl corner Jair Alexander. Alexander has played just 14 total games over the past 2 years. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported earlier this morning that this offseason, Green Bay and the Bills held trade talks over Alexander. And the Colts, they have announced details of the transition of ownership with the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters will all play a role, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight. The series has moved to Florida as the Panthers will host the Oilers. Game time at 8. Our coverage right here on WGR will get underway at 7:30, and that coverage is presented by Figo Car and Joyce Shore Border Attorneys and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. And then following taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend, the Boston Red Sox calling up baseball's #1 prospect, 21-year-old outfielder Roman Anthony. Anthony is expected to join the team later today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Sometimes you have to take a little bit less so the other guy gets a little bit less, but we're able to keep them together. Sam Bennett was the only Florida Panther player who was at Aaron Ekblad's Cup party last year in Windsor, Ontario. Those two are tight. And, you know, if it means a little bit less to keep Aaron Ekblad, maybe that's what happens. But we'll have to wait and see.
Our guest from earlier, George Richards. Bulldog, have you ever been to a Stanley Cup party?
No. Big no. No, I have not.
Ever been close to going to one?
Party? No.
My sister was at one.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big dub. Do you remember whose party it was?
Jay Wells.
Okay.
What team is that? Is it the 94 Rangers?
I think that could be right. Yeah. He definitely spent some time with the Rangers in that era, so I think that might be it.
I'm only pretty sure of any of this.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'll check with my sister. I think yes. 94. He was here, and maybe that was how she knew him or something. Yeah. But yeah, I went to the Rangers from the Sabres. Well, what do you know? This happened in the past too.
Right. Right. Guy left and then won a cup. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Good. Happy to help.
Jay McKee in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, never been invited to a Stanley Cup party. I've been in, at the Hockey Hall of Fame, eliminate that. The Cup came to the radio station when I was working nights at BEN on the Cup run in '99. It was there, and that's the closest I've ever been to the Cup.
Okay.
It was like in the lobby of the radio station. And I wouldn't go really that near it. I felt like,
did that guy Phil Pritchard? Did he bring us bring the cup over to us ever when we were closer?
I don't know. He was definitely involved in this thing I'm referring to from '99. I can't remember if we've ever had the pleasure of it being, close by while we were working. I can't recall. I don't think so.
I mentioned Jay, by the way. He was on the Penguins. They did not win that year, but just was thinking out loud, I guess, of players who went from the Sabres. There are a lot of them to a championship. And very, very famous examples in recent years, of course. The Panthers, 19 different goal scorers so far in the playoffs. Looking at their roster when talking to our guest, wow, it just kept going. The list of guys, Kulikov has goals. Right. Rodriguez has a goal. 19 different players so far. I think maybe it's only 23 that have seen a game, and that includes Bobrovsky. So 19, not sure what the record is. I looked up a few Sabres examples. 1999, it was 15 different goal scorers that year, including Rob Ray.
All right, yes.
It is
one
one
against the Leafs in the conference finals.
Famous goal against the Leafs.
Yep.
The 75 Sabres had only 13 different players score. I wonder how many games that was too. Like they might have had a couple of shorter.
Yeah, it was only 2 rounds to get to the final. They beat Chicago and Montreal.
Okay, so not as many games.
So not as many games. No.
Maybe Chicago was a sweep too. I don't know.
I think that rings a bell.
06 Sabres for the semis, 16 different goal scorers. 07 Sabres to the semis, 13. This year, Florida is at 19 so far. There you go.
I wonder if there has ever been a team that has had everyone who has dressed for playoff games who scored.
Every skater,
yeah, not excluding the 2 goalies that would have been active for each game.
Is Rob's goal? You're not prepared for this question. I'm not. I don't come with an answer yet.
I can see the play. I'm ready to at a moment's notice to talk about this goal in depth.
Is Rob's goal the most unlikely? However you want to define that. This case, maybe it's both the kind of goal it was and the player who scored it. The most unlikely Sabres playoff goal.
It should definitely rate in the conversation. Off the top of my head, I'm not prepared to tell you of another one that was maybe less likely. But considering how much he played, the role he played, and the goal and its importance, I mean, it didn't win the series, but it was the winner in that game, as it turned out. But it was midway through the second period or something that he scored it. I think he made it. Whatever. He gave them a 3-goal lead or something, and they won.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Yes.
So, I mean, through the legs, backhanded midair. It's a ridiculous goal for a skill player to score. So Rob scores it. He's playing. He ends up being a scratch as they get toward the finals. Or into the finals.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty unlikely guy to score a goal of that caliber, importance, and caliber style of goal it was.
It's a random tip. Like it's just sort of a crazy deflection. Unlikely in those ways.
But not like a puck that hit him from the point. I mean, it was a pass to the slot that he just reaches out with his stick and backhands it through his legs back.
That's right. So it wasn't off his butt.
It's not like it bounced in like the goal that went in off Bouchard the other night. Own goal, if you will. There was intention there. It's kind of incredible that he pulled it off.
That's right. Another way.
He might have been thinking, as that pass is coming, what are you doing sending a shin-high pass at me? I'm Rob Ray.
Or he's thinking, I got this.
But I got it. It turned out all right. It turned out.
Different ways to define unlikely. Like Derek Plant in overtime against Ottawa, the Sabres' only Game 7 win. Maybe that makes it unlikely. They won a Game 7th game. No, I mean like a shot from the blue line without Rob there for one to deflect it through his legs. Like just a shot from the blue line that that goes all the way through. Tugnut. That was shocking.
Pretty unlikely, yes, to have someone score from out there. Even way back then, it was that did not happen that often.
It's been a long time since I've thought about that goal. Why are we shooting from there? Is 1997 still like long ago enough where I might as well? Is he going off?
I will say this. I saw that highlight recently. Maybe we just passed the anniversary of it a month ago or something. I don't remember. A little longer ago than that. But I know I saw it recently, and I thought the first thing I thought when I saw the replay was he's further in than I remember him being.
Okay.
Like he's closer to the top of the circle than I remember him being. Is what I will say. He's not at the top of the circle. But he's neither like Yzerman against the Blues. Like that's, what is that, early 90s, mid 90s? I don't know. There's a famous Yzerman slap shot from the blue line that you see for years. You would see it on playoff hockey intros from behind. I think it's John Casey, the St. Louis goalie. And it goes like bar down, but it's from like right inside. Like it's a step inside the blue line. And you kind of can't believe it went in. Plant is 10 feet closer to the net than that.
Okay.
I think if you find the highlight, I think he's not quite just inside the blue line.
Yzerman,
he might start winding up, but by the time he shoots it, He's closer to the top of the circles than I remember.
Okay.
I think that's how I
give Alexander Ovechkin 100 pucks from that spot, or put it on the left if you'd rather. Whatever, just like that far out, wherever you want to put him. How many times does he score? 2?
Yeah, not a lot. No, I mean, Tugnet missed it. You got to miss it. Like he got his, he had it. I mean, he missed it. It went through his. So yeah, you're going to hit the goalie most of the time from there.
Maybe just part of the genius of it was like he'll never think I'm going to shoot him. Right. He's not ready for this.
Right, pucks to the net.
I mean, it's all just so quick. Yeah. It's also fast. Yeah. Yzerman is that a 7th game? Might be a 7th game.
I think it is. It's overtime 7th game. I think
double overtime. I'm looking at it now in 96. Oh yeah, he's just he's winding up. He's on the blue line.
Right,
and that's Gretzky flubs it in the neutral zone, and Yzerman takes it and just never gives it up.
Wow.
I hated the Red Wings. Yeah. Did you hate the Red Wings? Come on. Oh. It's the Leafs in me, maybe.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I loved Yzerman, eventually Shanahan. I think I liked that team a lot. Yeah, I think I liked them a lot. I held like Montreal against Patrick Roy, so I never liked Colorado. So I was on Detroit when that was hot. I was on Detroit then.
Oh, okay. The Lemieux years. Claude Lemieux?
Right.
I hated everybody.
Crazy brawls and all the stuff.
I did not have a side in those series. I did not get into it because I just didn't like either one.
Right.
Colorado, Detroit, Dallas. I never rooted for anybody. I think I probably wanted Dallas to win the year the Sabres went to the finals in the semis, I mean, because I felt like maybe they would be easier than was it the Avs? They beat the Avs to go to the finals in 99?
I do not remember the other side of the bracket.
That's a little bit familiar to me, is like feeling like Dallas was the better matchup.
It would make sense if Colorado was there because they were excellent at that time too. I mean,
Yep.
They win it they won it in 96 and they won it a few years later with Ray Bourque. I think like
2001.
Yeah, 01. Yeah.
Against Jersey, which got Pittsburgh in the Eastern Final after Pittsburgh won here. And the deal was how the Sabres went 4-0 against Jersey that season, but did not get the chance. All right, that's enough about that. That's enough about all of it. We'll take a break and come back with more to say. How about that? How about that plan? Brian Koziol will join us at 6 today to talk about the weekend outside of Toronto on the PGA Tour, and then this week the U.S. Open outside of Pittsburgh. I'm guessing at least somebody listening was there yesterday and maybe is also, or someone else going to the Open at Oakmont this week. Let us know if that's you. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR. Welcome back. Nice enough day. Rained earlier. Thought about when it was raining how the Bisons just rarely play on Mondays anymore. It used to be a thing until a couple of years ago, but they're pretty much almost always on a Tuesday through Sunday. It's not bad out now, but they are home this week starting tomorrow, and that's through Father's Day. I'll be driving on Father's Day, Sunday, I think it's the third year in a row coming home from lacrosse tournament. One thing I have to tell you. So with, these road trips, it's booking hotels, right, for 1 or 2 nights in different places. And I booked one today where it gave me, like usual, you go to a hotel's website, it gives you the different room options, the 1 king, the 2 queens. Do you want to roll in, shower or something or whatever? Just keep it simple for me. It's my son and I, 2 beds. That's it. Today, the site I was at today to book a hotel had, all right, so here's the price for 2 queen beds. Here's the price with free internet. And then the next option was...
The internet doesn't sound free if it's added on to the price of the room without the free internet.
You're right with me. The next option is for like $10 more, free internet and free parking. I'm like, free parking? When do you ever have to pay to park at a hotel? But for $10 more, you get, quote, free parking. Uh-huh. That doesn't seem free at all. That seems like that's $10 for parking.
That really does not add up.
And then the next option is, like, for another $10 or $20, free internet, free parking, free breakfast. I mean, is anybody in charge of anything anymore? Like, isn't that something that should be punishable?
Free? Yeah, no.
That's not free.
None of that's free.
No, that is, you can buy it.
Yeah.
It's not zero.
You want to maybe call that value added or some other kind of nonsense that also is annoying, but at least closer to correct.
You can't call it free. It isn't free if it's more money.
That is not okay.
That is not what free means.
No.
Just these kinds of things. How are we surviving?
I had a thing. Wife and I stayed in a hotel Saturday night. We just got out of here and went and had a nice time, lunch and dinner, and just stayed close by. And there was a situation at check-in that was I'd never experienced before and was highly annoying. It got alleviated in about 15 minutes or so, but was pretty annoying. There was one room for 1 car to drive through to, like, sort of leave your car outside while you're checking in and being told where to park and all that, right? Sometimes places will have a valet, and it's pretty obvious if you can leave your car there. Well, the person right in front of me pulled into the spot, like, in such a way, it was a circular drive, but is now blocking the way through. I'm behind them, someone's behind me, and eventually someone is behind that car. The people in the car in front of me that are blocking the way, they checked in just ahead of me. I check in, go outside, they're walking away from this vehicle with their luggage. They pass me in the lobby as I'm on my way out. And I think to myself, these do not look like people who are going back for that car. The guy's got the suit, the hanger with the suit bag over the shoulder, and they're marching.
They're going to their room.
Elevators. They're heading to the elevators, and I'm like, that doesn't look good. I go back outside. I look around for a minute. Like, no, that surely was them. And they've left this. I'm stuck. I tell my wife, go, here's the key. I checked in. Go up to the room. I'll get this sorted out. So she does. And I go back inside. The woman that's in the car, is a passenger in the car that's right behind me, is now checking in. So I'm waiting behind her for the woman at the desk to, attend to me. All I want to do is tell her, you better call the people that just checked in ahead of me because that's their car and they're not coming back.
They're maybe thinking in their defense somebody's going to park it for them?
I think so, but there was no sign of that. There was no...
Yeah, that's a nice hotel.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it was a pretty big gaffe on their part. Like, they just walked away. And now I can't know if the keys were left in it because I didn't look. So eventually, woman, they get squared away. The woman gets squared away at the desk, and I tell her, like, hey, you better, I want to call these people. I think they think someone's parking their car for them. So that took about 10 or 15 minutes to get alleviated. When the guy comes down, I mean, he doesn't even make. I'm sitting right behind him in my truck, with the window down, sort of leaning out, like, hi. And he doesn't even make eye. He just gets in the car and moves. Like, not even like a sorry, I didn't know.
So bad.
Whatever. I'm sure he was embarrassed, but it was.
No, I'm not sure he was embarrassed.
It was a horribly inconsiderate move.
The valet excuse does not hold water.
No,
because you'd have to give them your keys.
There has to be somebody there that gives you a ticket.
That does not hold water.
Yeah,
no,
you can't just walk away and leave your car there.
You would never do that.
No, not a million years.
You would never do this.
I would ask the person at the front desk, is there a valet? They say no. Okay, I'm going to go move my car now. These people just...
Wow, it's really bad.
They needed to be summoned back to move their vehicle.
Or else, who knows?
Maybe
they just park there.
Eventually, I think we could have backed out.
But you needed the other people behind you to move first.
Yeah, right. I'm wedged in. It was really tight.
Oh.
It was really annoying, and I would have liked at least like something, like a sheepish, like, geez, like something. No, just got in and moved.
Absolutely.
Jerk.
Absolutely. Awful move right there. That's an awful job. Okay, well, we can agree on this one. We may not agree on what should happen with James Cook. 803-0550, that topic when we return here on WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about
Mandatory minicamp will get underway starting tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills, and a major storyline to keep track of this week will be if running back James Cook is in attendance. Cook did miss OTAs, and ESPN's Adam Schefter said he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon as he looks for a new contract. Cook does have 1 year left on his rookie deal. The Packers are officially releasing Pro Bowl cornerback Jair Alexander. Alexander has played just 14 total games over the past 2 years. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported this morning that earlier this offseason, Green Bay and the Bills held trade talks over Alexander, and the Colts have announced details of the transition of ownership following the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters are set to play a role within the organization, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight. The series is moving to Florida as the Panthers host the Oilers. The series is tied 1 game apiece. Game time at 8. Our coverage here on WGR will get underway at 7:30. And that coverage is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce Show Border Attorneys and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. And following taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend, the Boston Red Sox are calling up baseball's #1 overall prospect, 21-year-old outfielder Roman Anthony. Anthony is expected to join the team later today. And as your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update, Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Raisin Bran. You got to put Raisin Bran up there. Everybody knows it.
It's Mike Schopp.
Listen, get your own stupid old dying person team and choose your own cereals.
And the Bulldog.
I shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves.
That cereal is soggy. You reach into the fridge for the milk and open the lid on the milk to pour it in there, and that crap is already soggy.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds.
That's a problem. That's a problem for a cereal. I
Huge
think.
problem.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
James Cook, sure, it's mostly all been said, and I'm sure we'll get to it. Roman Anthony, Bulldogs' beloved Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yep.
Here's the question for you and anyone who wants to take it on. What's the most excited you think you've ever been for a debut? Ooh. Maybe it's your team, Bills or Sabres. Maybe it's not. What's the most excited? But probably it should be. What's the most excited you've ever been for the arrival of the new kid? I don't think it can be Allen. Maybe it's not for me to say who it can't be.
Yeah. No, it would not be my answer.
It was a little bit. Allen was a little bit anticlimactic. Like he went in the most embarrassing loss, one of the most embarrassing Bills losses ever. He goes in, and that's how his career starts. You could be
right. I wasn't even looking forward to his debut yet.
Yeah, right. Like you didn't get a chance to.
Right. I mean, I was excited to see him eventually, and probably if we'd had an off season, or even if the momentum had started building during that 18 season, before halftime of the opener, then, sitting with it and talking about it would have amped that up. But without any of that having happened, the circumstances with which he made his debut didn't give me an opportunity to really look forward to it that much. You knew it was coming eventually, but I wasn't expecting it that day. So that would not even rate for me. That is not the same as whether or not you were excited about him as an idea. It's just like the game came and you weren't expecting him to play, and then he played, and then he never came out, and still hasn't. So he got hurt, but that year. But since then, he's been a rock. Yeah, I don't know now. Boy.
Eichel?
I mean, Eichel is the first thing that I thought of. And that was also, that certainly was a lot of run-up, and you knew he was, going to make his debut. Was it year 2 that he got hurt, like late in camp, and was going to miss some time? I'm trying to remember what year that was now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It wasn't his first year. So you would have had time. The team had been remade. Yeah, that it's a long time ago now, and how it ended makes it almost embarrassing to admit how excited you could have been. But I was pretty excited about Ryan O'Reilly and Evander Kane, and, of course, most notably Eichel. So that's probably my score to beat right now.
Sabres, it seems like it's always a high pick now, but, a lot of years you'd pick in the middle or even in the end, at the end, and that guy is not starting the year with you. And he doesn't come up either. Like it's decided before the season even starts that he's going to junior for a year, or he's going to Rochester or whatever. Back to college. Like there's not really, I guess maybe late in the season there could be.
Middlestad made his debut in like the third to last game of the year or fourth to last game of the year. After Minnesota got eliminated, he turned pro.
That was okay.
Yeah, it was fine. But it wasn't like, ooh, right? Devin Levi's a more recent Sabres example.
Yes, that's good, actually.
Because he did the same thing. And that was in the heat of that playoff race that we just talked about last hour with George Richards, who's been covering the Florida Panthers for as long as I can remember. Levi coming up, that was exciting because, he was like a highly thought of goalie wizard prospect level guy. Like, that was exciting, even though he was a 7th-round pick originally. He'd already outplayed that draft status and was one of the most highly thought of goalie prospects in the world.
Levi's good.
So Levi, he's coming, and I'm in a race here. I'm in a playoff race, and that added to the anticipation. And it was very hard not to get caught up in that. So much so that there wasn't a lot of talk of like, don't rush him. It was just, he's ready, bring him in.
Well,
let's go.
In retrospect,
yeah, right. No, I know. Now it's been, for me, almost since that, really since they forced him in to start the season after that, and it didn't go well. It was I got to, like, slow down. you're assuming a lot here, but anyway, he shows up and was really, really good. I mean, they fell just short there, but that was really exciting. And, you know, it's easy to be down on him, but I don't think really we should be. It's still so early.
I don't need to be down on him, but I really have never wanted to invest in the idea that he was bankable because he's a goalie. And he wasn't like he was the best goalie in the history of college hockey, right? Arguably.
Sure.
Arguably. Close enough. One of them. One of the best. Is that bankable? It really isn't. You know, it can work out. So can Ryan Miller work out, who was a very good college goalie of a 5th-round pick and then went on and had a great career. So that's the thing with Levi is like, how good of an investment is this? Not for the Sabres to trade for him, not like that, but just like sort of the odds.
Investing in the idea of him being the number one goalie.
Yeah, just never.
All I'm saying
never
about not being down
in.
on is that idea certainly should not be dead yet, is all I'm saying.
It's not dead, but the odds are no better than they were in the first place.
That's right. And you've been maybe the cautionary tale like slows you down on making assumptions about a guy.
Should.
You know, I think the organization even made assumptions about the guy, that he was ready to do that job.
And, you know, how surprising is it that they would blow that?
Right.
Isn't that what usually happens?
Not surprising at all. So.
Not surprising at all.
Yeah.
You know, if dare I go back so far, but I'm thinking about like Bills and Sabres debuts. The 80s were great for this. Kelly, I think, is my answer. It's so long ago. It's almost 40 years ago. But I don't know. Can you say there was really nothing like that? Kelly, there was 2 years after he was drafted where he was a ghost. I mean, he was in Houston playing in the USFL, and you had like much of the Bills' history, which was kind of sad, and then here's this hopefully a savior, and he doesn't show, and he doesn't want to be here. Then you get there going into 86, and that day, I was not at that game, the 86 opener against the Jets, but I mean, the Bills are on TV at home. Right. Like that never happened. Right. So 1986 opener, Kelly's debut was really good. I mean, not the only one either. I don't remember them all very well. I mean, I'm a teenager. Bruce Smith would have been a big deal. Thurman Thomas was a big deal because they'd already shown like they could be pretty good. And here's Thurman. That was an opener, 88 opener.
88, right.
And, you know, the Sabres with Turgeon, too, like, that was kind of cool. First overall pick. Hadn't happened since Gilbert. I don't remember it. I don't remember.
I don't either. I don't either.
Would have been big, though.
Yeah.
For the Sabres getting him.
Yeah.
I do not remember anything about that, what happened.
Yep.
Kelly would be my answer. Kelly
is really good because go ahead.
No, just because I was going to say to Alan, like Kelly is, if Alan was like the 101 or something, or even if he was who he was, and right away the Bills are like, this is going to be our guy right now, day one, and they open at home or something, and that comes after. Well, it kind of did because of the drought, but the drought had been broken. It comes after a period of just sort of malaise with the team, and then here you go. Here's the new savior. Right. But, you know, we had been through Lossman and Manuel, and I don't know if Allen was really that different as somebody to be excited about before anything happened. But Kelly was more than that.
Yeah. I agree across the board. The problem with Allen that I would have is like we already talked about at the outset here. The way his debut happened, it's separate from being excited about him as an idea. You just did not. I didn't myself. Speaking for myself, I didn't have the opportunity to like ramp into. Here we go. It's Josh Allen time because again we didn't think he'd be playing, and then he went in at halftime. Kelly, yeah. I mean, it's a whole summer of anticipation, and a summer on the heels of 2 years prior, like you just said, of him not wanting to be here and all of it. And yeah, it wasn't as long as the drought had been broken. But come on, the Bills they were starting over at quarterback, so it's enough of a new beginning, even though the drought ended. It feels like an extension of the drought, even though it broke before Allen got on the field. the 2 years prior to Kelly getting here after the 83 draft, I mean, what are they? They're 2-14. 84 and 85 are two of the worst years in the history of the franchise. So, like him, the hope that he represented coming in, in a pre-internet era, to have people find out to go like get above the overpasses on the 33 and all the things that happened it's all pretty incredible that any of that happened. Like, how did you mobilize back then? Like, what did someone did the new news tell you to go stand out on the best street overpass or something? How did you know?
Irv.
I just have no idea what happened there.
I think it was Irv.
But that's pretty incredible. And it was a real, I mean, just in a lifetime full of low points, man, 84 and 85 were really bleak. So much so that by the time I knew about it, I was excited about him agreeing to come and was aware of all the hoopla, but I was very casual about them. I talk about the 80s as a bit of a sinkhole for me with all like this stuff because I just wasn't as aggressively chasing all the information. I wasn't reading, the sports page, cover to cover every day. I don't know. I guess I was a little bit off the bandwagon. I would have to cop to that. I just wasn't as into it. Pierre, same thing, same era. I just was not as glued to it as I would become as I got older, funny enough.
Do you know who caught Josh Allen's first regular season, not his first pass? Who was his first completion to? They'll give you 100 guesses.
Oh, boy.
So that game in Baltimore, Peterman gets intercepted. They take it to the 1 and score on the first play. It's 40-0. Not even 4 minutes into the second half. It's 40-0. Allen goes in. First play is a handoff to Marcus Murphy. Okay. That's his first snap in the NFL.
Yeah.
He throws on the second, it says at Pro Football Reference, incomplete deep right for Zay Jones. And then, interesting name, on third down, he's sacked by Zadarius Smith. That's his first series in the league.
Okay.
Baltimore gets the ball. Jackson takes over. I think this would have been Jackson's first. I think he played a little receiver in that game, maybe earlier, but that's his first.
Yeah, I think he was on the field like in some gadget role or something. Yeah, I think that's right. Before that.
Kenneth Dixon, right guard for -1. Is that Boobie Dixon? Oh, that's Anthony Dixon. Baltimore had Kenneth Dixon. Jackson runs for 2 yards. Third down, Jackson sacked by Kyle Williams and Trent Murphy. Remember Trent Murphy?
Murphy, sure. Yep.
So Allen and Jackson, forever linked. Here we go. I mean, this year, week 1, MVPs, all of it. As you know, you'll remember that they're in the first game of their careers together, both under these weird circumstances. There's like almost an entire second half to play. This isn't garbage time, but it's 40-0, so it is.
Yeah.
Allen goes in, handoff, incomplete, sack. Jackson goes in, handoff, 2-yard run, sack. Like mirror images.
Right.
Then Allen goes in after the Baltimore punt, runs for 11, runs for 14.
Wow. Got him right where he wants him now.
Sign of things to come.
Right.
Incomplete for Charles Clay on 1st and 10. These might be the Bills' first downs of that game. Wasn't that the thing with Peterman? Like they couldn't even get a first. Oh, they did get one. McCoy had a run to start the second half. So it wasn't their first down of the game, but still. Allen runs for 11. Allen runs for 14. Incomplete for Clay. Ivory for 3 yards.
Chris Ivory, wow.
Then Allen complete for 14 on a 3rd and 7.
To this guy.
To this guy.
See, the name I've been sitting on is not going to be right because there's no way Mike Tolbert caught a 14-yard pass from Josh Allen for his first completion.
It was not Mike Tolbert.
All right. Is he at least on that team? Or is he only here for the drought breaker?
I don't know. I don't see his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might have just been here he was here that first year when they went to play Jacksonville in the wild card round. I'm almost sure of that.
He doesn't have a touch in this game, so maybe he's gone.
All right. Well, then,
I said to you, I'll give you 100 guesses.
Yeah.
You could have given me 100 guesses. It's not like I'm.
Is it Lee Smith?
Not Lee Smith.
All right, I'm done. I don't know. So Kelvin Benjamin's not here yet.
He is, but it's.
Oh, he is by then?
They brought him in on the drought team. Right? He's on the 17 Bills. Right?
Right. Oh, that's right. They changed. Yeah, no, you're right.
Let's make the playoffs.
Yes. Sorry. You know what I was thinking was they didn't get him until they changed the type of receiver they wanted, but they changed away from him to different, smaller, faster guys who could separate. As I had that backwards in my head, which is why I had that trade backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Benjamin's involved here.
My ineptitude. Benjamin is involved here.
Not on the play.
Okay.
But I think I think he plays that day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he would be on the team. He's on the team. I was making a big mistake there. Not that big, but whatever.
Not that big.
Okay, then.
Allen ends up going 6 for 15 for 74 in this game, sacked 3 times. So he completed 6 passes in his debut. Let me give you the other ones here as you think about it for one more minute.
All right.
So his first completion you're thinking about, incomplete for Benjamin, sacked. Complete to Jeremy Curley.
Oh, my Lord.
Offensive holding, so the play doesn't count. Complete to Logan Thomas for 24 on 3rd and 19. This guy's got a future.
Logan Thomas.
This guy might have it. He might have the it factor. They're saying about Josh Allen after that play at 40-3 is the score now. The Bills had to have that field goal. So Zay Jones, and now it's 47-3. Incomplete for Foster. Incomplete for Curley. Complete to Zay Jones. Complete to Jason Kroom. Complete to Zay Jones. So it's 7 completions. The one doesn't count.
Andre Holmes.
Correct. Didn't need 100 guesses.
And we're on TV. I did not look at anything. The whole time I'm trying to think of the name of this guy, and I think he might be most well known for Bills fans. If I've got the same guy right, he caught a pass against the Raiders, maybe in 19, or maybe it's still 18. That the sideline went insane for. We're in the stadium for it. And he catches a pass, and it was a big play, got a big first down. It was a big gain, and it ended at the Bills sideline. And the defense all came off the bench to get around, and they did an impromptu pile of people celebrating, a walk-off home run just happened or something. And I was thinking it's that guy, and I couldn't think of the guy's name.
It's good.
And I hope it's the same guy. I know Holmes got the first pass. I'm hoping this Raider play is not a figment of my imagination.
He did have a touchdown catch in the game against the Raiders the previous year. That would have been in 17 against the Raiders when it was still Tyrod.
Okay. Yeah.
But Andre Holmes is the answer. Hopefully that's in his bio.
Right.
First
right
person to catch a regular season pass from Josh Allen. Andre Holmes. I would be in mine.
Yes.
It would go right to the top.
I think so.
I don't know what other accomplishments I would have had to enjoy in life to not put that at the top. That's some good trivia. I should have gotten you Jackson's from who his first receiver is. Since I'm there, I don't know. It could take a minute now. Might have been Max Williams.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think I'd have a lot of good guesses there. I don't think I would have a lot of good guesses at all.
Here's to Roman Anthony.
Right. Go get him, kid.
Maybe your favorite Bills or Sabres rookie debut was James Cook a couple of years ago. Maybe not. Either way, we'll talk about him like we said we would. 803-0550 is the number. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. You seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over, it's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller coaster.
Minicamp gets underway tomorrow. Will James Cook be in attendance? We will find out tomorrow. Cook did miss OTAs, and ESPN's Adam Schefter said he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon as he looks for a new contract. Cook does, though, have 1 year left on his rookie deal. Packers are releasing Pro Bowl cornerback Jair Alexander. Alexander has played just 14 total games over the past 2 seasons. NFL insider Jordan Schultz reported this morning that this offseason, Green Bay and the Bills did hold trade talks over Alexander, and the Colts have announced details on the transition of ownership with the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters will all play a role with the organization, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final is tonight as the series moves to Florida. Panthers host the Oilers. Game time at 8 o'clock. Our coverage right here on WGR will get underway at 7:30. That coverage is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce Shore Border Attorneys and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. And then following taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend, the Boston Red Sox calling up baseball's #1 overall prospect, 21-year-old outfielder Roman Anthony. Anthony is expected to join the team later today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I'm pretty happy just to get in the playoff there. Obviously, I needed a really good finish to get there and had some great shots coming down the stretch. And, Sam let me off the hook big time there. That first playoff hole, I'd almost given him that, and then we had a couple of scrappy holes there, and then to hit the shot I hit on that fourth playoff hole was pretty surreal, to be honest. It's probably, it will be the best shot I've ever hit in my life. There's nothing close to that.
Oh, another segment, another topic. What's the best shot you've ever hit? You know what the worst is? The worst is not hitting a terrible shot, unless it's like something's on the line and you'd sort of choke. Yeah. That doesn't feel good. The worst is, I had one of these playing with a guy, he really needs no explanation, but a favorite of yours, Adam Krautwurst.
Oh, beloved.
The beloved?
In the house. We talk about him every night over dinner.
Deep End co-host, Adam Krautwurst. I was playing, no, it wasn't with him.
We haven't all had dinner together in 6 months.
I've played 2 rounds of golf this year. One was with Adam. This was with Joe Dunlop. And I had, I don't know, it's a scramble. It wasn't like a super important shot, but it was where the other guys in the team had not executed the shot. So it was kind of important in that context.
Yep.
And Niagara Frontier, it was like 230 yards away, maybe uphill, into the wind. And I just don't hit the ball very far anymore, whether it's me, old clubs, old balls. I have not invested in golf. Multiple times around when I play, I'm like, I'm 20 yards short.
A lot of excuses here, people. I don't know about you.
A lot of excuses. They're all valid. I got out a 3-wood and just click. And we never found it.
Oh.
Like behind the green on this hole, it just falls off into like an abyss.
You hit it too well.
I hit it too well.
Yeah.
Which to my mind, I never even considered that possibility of hitting the ball so well from that far that we would never find it. It was one of those 2 where we looked in the hole.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
No. Is it ever in the hole when you look in the hole? It's never there.
Hasn't been yet. It's not been yet.
That's it's not a great shot. It's a terrible shot. It's a lost ball.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, yes, but you hit it great.
Hit it great. So what? Good for me. Couldn't find it. Gone.
Yeah, I like how I'm striking it. Yeah, that's one of those. I'm making good contact. The swing feels good. Too good, in fact. Yeah.
I don't really know of like a best shot. You're the guy to ask. You play all the time. Ryan Fox. There's Ryan Fox who won at the Canadian Open yesterday, talking about it was pretty great. The second shot he hit on the 4th playoff hole to win.
Yeah, that was great. I hit a 3-wood probably about 240 to within 25 feet at Ivy Ridge last year. I played 65 rounds of golf. 63 of them were at Delaware Park. One was at Ivy Ridge, and I don't remember where the other one was. Oh, Glen Oak. And I lipped out the eagle putt. But that shot at a course like that, I've hit that shot, 4 or 5 times at Delaware, like a 230 to 40 yard 3-wood to give me a chance for an eagle putt. And I've made the putt a couple times. But to hit a shot like that at a place that's not Delaware Park, I love playing in the park, but there's other places are harder. And I was that is my favorite shot of all time at this point.
All right, you're saying it.
Pretty current, yeah. Yeah, you were there for the other one that would come to mind. It was like a 185-yard 4-iron at some place in Canada we played before a show on a day that we talked to Tim Connolly while he'd been injured. I don't know if you remember doing this show in some attic clubhouse area that was cordoned off. Yeah, that day I hit one of the best shots I've ever hit in my life. That I still remember it to this day. And then this is how long ago is this? This is 2007.
A long time ago. It was way up north of Toronto, maybe. Maybe it was where they played yesterday, if that was a thing then. I don't know.
Could have been.
It was nice like that.
It was really nice. It was one of the nicest places I'd ever played.
Yeah, and really hard.
At that point in my life. Mm-hmm. And I hit that shot, and I was really happy about it. But this 3-wood was better than that last year. Recency bias.
Yeah, I don't know what my best shot is.
But I was so glad to see that guy, that Fox hit that shot there because, they weren't – I get why they weren't going for it. The wind and, it's a playoff. So one shot in the water from there when you're being macho is just going to sink you. So, all right, just keep laying up and trying to get close and make a birdie. And, 3 times through, nobody could do it. And finally, he was close enough to take a shot at it. And, boy, the payoff was massive because that was the fact that the ball stopped like it did was amazing.
Yeah. Oakmont has a 289-yard par 3 this week. Raise your hand if your number one golf course that you play has a par 4 shorter than 289. Put your hands back on the wheel. Don't actually do this, but very decent chance that your favorite golf course has a par 4 shorter than that.
My favorite golf course is Delaware Park and had up until last season 247-yard par 3, but they changed it to a par 4 this last year.
Wow,
so it's still the same hole, but it was a 247-yard. It still is a 247-yard hole, but it was a par 3 up until the year before last.
We will talk to Brian Koziol at the top of the hour about a little recap on the Canadian and then preview of the U.S. Open this week. If you like our Pick 10 contest that we do before every major, you might be interested in knowing it's Brian's turn to pick 10 players. If you don't like it, it's also Brian's turn. Mm-hmm. So that'll be on Wednesday. You'll hear a lot from Brian this week. Will we hear a lot from James Cook this week, or even about him? Probably more about him than from him, I'm guessing. I think, and not a lot of, we've talked about important things like our golf and remembering Pierre Turgeon's NHL debut this hour. But really, where you and I are different is that, and I might be overstating it here, we're talking about your preferred outcome. But I think it's okay if the Bills come in at a number and a term, 3 years for X, that seems like a lot for a running back, in terms of the recent history, recent context, but keeps things rolling with him. He's happy with it. They've got him back. No need to worry about this. And I think you wouldn't consider that a good result.
No, my preferred outcome is risky, yes, because the risk is that you're alienating this player potentially in, a window where you should be trying to win the Super Bowl and maybe making a problem within your team that, doesn't need to exist if you can just find your way to a compromise. But my preferred outcome all along has been him coming in, realizing that he doesn't really have any leverage, because I really don't think he has his services, but the long-range forecast for holding out of that is not great. He's got to play to get the big contract, and I think in the end he'll end up realizing that that's what he's got to do. So my preferred outcome is he plays it out, and if the Bills want to get aggressive about holding on to him, they still will have that right after another season with the franchise tag. Again, none of this is the preferred route, but it's there if it comes to it. If you go through another year, you don't value him enough to give him the contract now, but he has that year again. And maybe you regret not finding a compromise or even giving him the what he wants. You have the tag. Like, so if you need to do that next year, you can. So I don't want to. I'm not sure I want to commit. Well, I'm sure I don't want to commit. I'm not sure I'm ready to believe he's going to be worth that money year over year. And I don't want to pay him the going rate for running backs who play a lot more than he does off of what I think is an outlier 16 touchdown season. I think it's the worst possible time. Good timing for him, maybe.
Not yet.
Really, the better timing for him might have been if he'd waited until this year to have this year. We're probably not having any of this conversation about a new contract. If he just has the 23 season again last year with 2 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, be like, okay, good job. Get back in there and see what you can do. And then he has this year, and then that would be crazy going into free agency. I just think playing it out is the preferred route for me. Let him play it out.
I think we're sort of, again, talking about 2 different things. I mean, preferred, I might agree with you. But I just don't see how that happens from here. Cook just gives up. The Bills just refuse to do anything for him off of that season with who they are. And Cook's like, okay, I tried, and plays out his contract knowing that franchise tag option is still there for them the following year. I just do not see that being the result. Is it maybe what's best for the Bills? Maybe it is, like you're saying.
Well, but what is his alternative if he doesn't play?
He has no alternative, but I just don't think the Bills would let it. Would just shun his asks. I mean, just no. We already talked about this. No, it just does not seem. It just doesn't very often happen where you don't get that compromise. Usually, and this team has been great at it. You get that deal. In your scenario, the Bills just refuse to do anything for him.
Or he refuses what they're willing to do for him.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's right, that there would be. I'm assuming that there would be.
I'm sure there's a number right now that they would love to sign him at, but if it's not close enough to what he wants, I'm not assuming that there's a compromise to be made here. If he is so far on one side and maybe they're just as far the other way, and the middle is just too far to go for both parties. That's what it has sounded like, and I'm willing to. I guess I'm. I'm assuming they're too far apart.
Okay.
And so I would think the Bills would. Sure, Mike. I don't think they want the headache, but I also don't think they're going to just give him what he wants or close enough to it to make it all fine. Like I like this route, the play it out route. I also think it's what is most likely to happen.
Let's go to Pete here. Hi, Pete.
Hey guys. Yeah. I can, totally see why Cook wants the money that he wants. I think the Bills would be, I'll say nuts for giving it to him. But I was really optimistic when they drafted him. And I would say he's been good, but not great as a Bills running back. I think a lot of his success is due to the line that they have and the fact that teams are defending Allen. But if he wants top 3 money in the league, I just don't see it. I mean, he plays less than 50% of the snaps. He doesn't really offer all that much in the passing game. And frankly, I'm not even convinced that he's the best running back in the AFC East. I mean, let alone the rest of the league. And I just don't think the drop-off from him to Ty Johnson or Ray Davis is really going to be that dramatic with the offensive line play that they have. So, I get it. This is his big chance to make, crazy wealth for the rest of his life. I think it makes total sense for him to, frankly, dig in the way that he is. I get it, but I also think that for the Bills, just managing the salary cap and the roster, yeah, man, we understand that you want this money, but there's really just not going to be the drop-off from you to Davis or from you to Johnson. And, unfortunately, you're just not deserving of the money you want. You're not Saquon Barkley. You're not Derrick Henry. You're definitely not Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, I think that was like the best-case outcome for like his player type, given his size and his speed. But he just doesn't offer that in the passing game. I mean, he's okay, but it seems like, every second or third game, there's just like, oh, there's a drop from Cook in the end zone or, out in the flat. He's got 20 free yards in front of him. So it's just like he's good, but he's definitely not great. And that's the money that he wants. I just don't think he just doesn't deserve it.
Thanks, Pete. I think I'd rather have Achane and Breece Hall, but I think it's fairly close, all three guys. I don't think you'd have to rank them any particular way.
Yeah.
In the division, since the caller mentioned that. I'm not going to give you Travion Henderson right yet.
Or Ramondre Stevenson.
Or definitely not giving you Stevenson. You don't hear me saying that. Bulldog's trying to stir things up. Thanks, Pete. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. We'll be right back. This is WGR. this week. Fun finish yesterday at the Canadian Open near Toronto. I watched a little bit of the Oklahoma City, Indiana NBA Finals Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they do get everybody to wear the same shirt down there.
Yes, they do.
Like, it looks like every fan is wearing that same blue.
Yeah.
Like the Flames in hockey.
And what they're all the teams in the league have done this year. Although I'm not sure the fans are wearing the same gear the players are wearing, but they've got slogans on the shirts. The Knicks was like for the Burrows or something. It said.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the Pacers shirts?
I have. I don't think I have. Maybe I have and I forgot.
They're the Indiana Pacers. Their slogan on the shirts that guys are wearing, that I see them wearing it, they pull them off as they enter the game, I think. Anyway, I've seen them warming up in these shirts. Yes, sirs.
Oh,
so
yes.
It says yes, and then CERS below it. Yes, sirs. And I think someone should probably be fired.
Someone should pay for that.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Am I so out of touch that I don't know how cool that is? Because that seems like the dorkiest thing that's ever T-shirted. I can't believe that's on a T-shirt.
It sounds like something Greg Bauk would say as a joke.
Right. They're not the Pacers. They're the yes sirs.
And we would just know he was kidding. Like,
right.
It would not even be like a real idea.
There's no chance he could think it was actually funny, that he would have said it hoping to get a laugh. Right.
Yeah, no, like that's why it's funny.
Right.
This is so stupid.
I don't know what in the world what is the origin? I don't know. I don't follow the Pacers. Maybe, maybe Reggie Miller said it to Spike Lee sometime back in the 90s or something. I have no idea what the genesis of this is. I just know it looks ridiculous.
Well, if you find out and maybe it helps it at all, let me know.
Right, I will.
If it maybe justifies it, let me know. Right. I mean, doubtful. Someone who came up with that should have to pay the $20 for the free breakfast.
Right.
When they book their next hotel room. Right. For $20 more, you get a free breakfast.
What?
Wow, what a deal. Right. They're giving us a free breakfast if we give them $20. Wow. Man, I am a moron and cannot figure out why that isn't a great deal. I can't see the small print.
Oh, wait, there's more. Free parking for another $10.
Free parking as well. For another $10, you'll get free parking. What a deal. It sounds like almost too good to be true.
Right, yeah. Golly, how do these places stay in business? They're just giving everything away.
I booked a hotel room today, and that's what it said. Here's the price, but for $10 more, it's free parking and free internet. For $20 more, it's that plus free breakfast. Free. It should be illegal. Brian Koziol next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Starting tomorrow for the Buffalo Bills, will James Cook be in attendance? Cook did miss OTAs, and ESPN's Adam Schefter said he does not believe Cook will be in Buffalo anytime soon as the Pro Bowl running back looks for a new contract. Cook, though, does have 1 year left on his rookie deal. The Colts have announced details of the transition of ownership with the death of Jim Irsay. Irsay's 3 daughters are all set to play a role within the organization, but Carly Irsay Gordon will serve as owner and CEO. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight as the series transitions to Florida. The Panthers host the Oilers. Series is tied at 1 game apiece with puck drop at 8 tonight. Our coverage right here on WGR is going to get underway a half hour before that at 7:30. And that coverage is presented by Fiegel Car and Joyce Shore Border Attorneys and brought to you in part by Window Nation, the perfect fit for your home and wallet. Also in hockey, TJ Oshie has announced his retirement after 16 seasons in the NHL. Oshie split his career between St. Louis and Washington and played just over 1,000 games. And following taking 2 of 3 from the Yankees over the weekend, the Boston Red Sox did call up baseball's number 1 prospect, 21-year-old outfielder Roman Anthony. And for tonight, Anthony is batting 5th and in right field as Boston hosts Tampa just after 7 p.m. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Happy, the ball itself has its own energy, or life force, if you will. Its natural environment is in the home. So why don't you send them home?
It's Mike Schopp.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
And the Bulldog.
That Happy Gilmore, he's a real crack-up, isn't he? I mean, he's a hoot. You know, what was great today, one of his fans mooned me, and had Happy written on his ass. Ha on the one cheek, and then, sure enough, PPY right there in the other.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Happy learned how to putt. Uh-oh.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
We will get to the Canadian Open and the U.S. Open back-to-back here. The Canadian Open wrapping up yesterday near Toronto. U.S. Open this week outside of Pittsburgh. But as we welcome Brian Koziel, host of Tee to Green, to the show, Brian is the tennis coach at Sweet Home, and we would be, I think, remiss to go the whole show without a mention of the 2 French Open finals. Coco Gauff winning on Saturday in the 3rd, and then, Brian, they're calling Alcaraz over Sinner the greatest. I saw Patrick McEnroe say the greatest match ever played at Roland Garros. Alcaraz is down 3 match points in the 4th and a break, ends up winning. 5.5 hours is not manageable, but still, it sounds like an all-timer.
It is incredible. Good afternoon, by the way, guys. It was incredible that they were physically able to play as hard as they were in those, I don't know, the 3rd hour, the 4th hour, the 5th hour, as it approached 6 hours. The ball that's, for those that maybe remember, it was, I think, Alcaraz was on the verge of maybe closing it out, and Sinner gets to a ball at the net when I think it's like a 15-30 kind of spot for him, and just incredible. The amount of energy and power that they're still able to hit with, just as much as they were in the first set, like in the 5th there when it's over 5 hours plus a tennis. It was phenomenal. It really was. And Alcaraz is kind of a showman, and he seems to be pretty well liked. He's very popular. The crowd was behind him more so, I thought, than Sinner overall. But, yeah, that was really, really tremendous.
I heard Marty Baron on Sabres Live with Brian Duff this afternoon, and he was making a point about his day yesterday consisted of getting up at 6 a.m., driving to West Point to pick up his son Jacob, who's a goalie at the Army, plays goal for Army. And he got something done with school, and he's coming home, bringing all the gear. So Marty had to go pick him up. And so 5.5 hours one way, 5.5 hours back. And Marty made a point about he couldn't believe how much of his drive he was listening to the radio coverage of the tennis match. And he's like, it covered like an entire way there or back. Like, it covered half the ride. He was in the car for 11 hours, and half of it was this match. It's amazing.
It's a great way to pass the time if you're into that. I know. Yeah, both matches. You mentioned the Gauff match on Saturday, where she's down and then drops the first set. Women's is only best out of 3, men's best out of 5. but Goff drops the first set, so she's obviously, in elimination mode, essentially losing a set she's done, and comes back, and then, we had the same on the men's side there with Sinner winning the first two, and then Alcaraz coming back with the last three. I don't know if either of you saw this at all, but I was trying to find it. I don't have it. I'm asking. The last time we've seen a major for tennis have 1 versus 2 and 1 versus 2.
84.
Okay, good. I'm glad you saw it. Yeah, I figured it had to be a while.
Maybe that was only the French.
Okay.
But I think I saw 84, which I think is McEnroe-Lendl when McEnroe's up 2 sets and loses. I think that's 84. And maybe Martina and Chrissy.
Big names there.
Big names. The legends. How long was it from when Sam Burns teed off to when he finished? That was probably maybe 8 hours. I mean, there wasn't even a weather delay or anything, but he gets done at the Canadian Open, switching to golf, at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
And then goes back out around 6 for what turns into a 4-hole playoff. How about that, Brian? Like, Burns, just quickly on yesterday, maybe I should just let you take it wherever you want to take it, but Ryan Fox, the winner, Burns with, that kind of weird situation where he's waiting for 2 hours to find out if he's going to need to get back out there. I thought if he was calculating his odds in his mind, that he would have thought, I'm either going into a playoff or I'm going to lose. And that 18 under would not have held up. And it almost did.
Yeah, it definitely was close. I mean, Fox obviously had to come through at the end to force it, but there were so many. The reason I didn't think 18 maybe would be enough, because there were just so many. I mean, there were 12 players that end up within 4 shots here of the lead. So, I mean, and 18 being a hole that maybe you'd have an eagle putt for at some point, I thought maybe somebody would come through. But that course had a lot of back and forth. Like, it was challenging in the sense that there were bogeys out there to be made, and guys had some tough shots and some tough lies. But then at the same time, there were a lot of scoreable situations too. So I guess ultimately that's what it would make for an exciting event. And the Canadian Open, for whatever it's worth, it doesn't get major like we're going to see this week in terms of the level of the field, but they do get some bigger names. They get all the RBC guys, which is good for them. But and McIlroy's been a regular attendee of their event. They get dramatic endings. They definitely have. Even when McIlroy's won it, 3 years ago and 4 years ago, they were really, really, really good. Of course, the Nick Taylor, Tommy Fleetwood playoff where Taylor makes that insane putt from inside 100 feet and goes bonkers, and then Adam Hadwin gets tackled on the green. That was the moment, obviously, that people remember. But yeah, and then last year even McIntyre comes down to the final hole and wins, and him and his dad. That was a big storyline last year. Yep. His dad's on the bag and caddying and taking the place of his normal caddy, and that was a big embrace. So they've had some really, really good endings, and I always thought it's a tough spot for the Canadian Open to be in, because they're, at least since they redid the calendar and pushed the PGA around and redid the playoffs, they're always the week in front of the U.S. Open, which means you're going to lose some guys that don't like to play the week before the major. They're not, as of this moment, in that regular elevated signature event status that some of these other ones are, where the purse would increase, which then would, of course, get all these big guys to show up. And I know they're supposed to rotate that around. Some of them are going to always be, like the Arnold Palmer one's always going to be a signature. But some of these, they have a few, I guess, in the plans to rotate. I'm hoping at some point the Canadian Open kind of gets back to that status. It would get even bigger fields back in the day. I mean, maybe you could argue one of Tiger Woods' most famous shots ever came at Glen Abbey on the 18th hole when he's out of that bunker. Yep. Over 200 yards, and he ends up winning it there on that last hole. So, I mean, they used to get Tiger. And they're getting McIlroy. So, I mean, that's, it's as big of a name as you're going to get. Maybe Scheffler, too. But, they're maybe they would like Scheffler. Of course, they would want Scheffler. But, I mean, it's a decent field for, I guess, a non-signature event. But they've had really, really good storylines, good drama, and I've enjoyed going up there a few times. I didn't end up going this year. Last year, with it being in Hamilton and much closer, I went up and got to watch a few days. But, yeah, they've had some really good endings.
Well, yesterday certainly among them. Brian Koziel with us here on the West Her Hotline. Now it's the Open. We've talked for years during these major championship weeks, having you on the Wednesday. Somebody makes their 10 picks, then we recap Thursday and Friday. Why not go throw Monday into it with what the weekend was and word of a 289-yard par 3 at Oakmont. So famous course, Brian. And how do you like this choice for this year's Open?
Well, I mean, you're right. It's a classic. It's in the regular rotation for U.S. Opens with Pinehurst and Pebble Beach and others like that. But I think if you ask professionals who have played in majors, okay, what's the hardest course in the United States that professionals play at? And this one probably, I would guess, maybe gets the most votes. I know Winged Foot also would be in the discussion, I think. But I think probably overall this one might be the number one vote getter for hardest course that the pros do play on. I mean, you mentioned the length. I mean, it's ridiculous that you've got a par 3 that, if it's playing into the wind, might play over 300 yards in terms of its length. So that's going to be crazy. It's the rough, I'm sure, for people that have been on social media and follow anybody that's there this week, the rough that has been shown 5 inches. That's what they said they wanted, is 5 inches. But the fact that the ball's been burying so deep, and you really have to stand over the top of it even just to see it, let alone try to figure out what you're going to do with it to hit a good golf shot. This obviously has a ton of history too. I was listening to you guys last week talk about the OJ anniversary with the Knicks game, and then Arnold Palmer at Oakmont, and that was his last day. That was a small piece of that series show that I thought was pretty good.
Right.
But long hitters, and you got to be accurate. Dustin Johnson won it last time it was there in 2016. Before that, Cabrera won it, who, by the way, just got out of jail and won a Champions Tour event.
That's the way to do it.
Yes.
That's a story right there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. They can't
amazing.
take that away from them. They probably tried. Oakmont, I'm just reading up on it too as you're talking, Brian. The course designer, Henry Fownes, Fownes, and it's the only course he designed. This is not like a Donald Ross track or anything like that. It's the only course he designed. No water, no trees. Almost no trees.
Church pews.
Church pews, yes.
Right.
The bunkers.
That hole is the one that probably will be photographed or videoed the most this week. For those that don't know, in between the third and the fourth hole, there is a massive bunker that have rows and rows and rows of little grass mounds in between. They call them the church pews, and they've actually added a 13th to it from what the time it was here the last time. So they added one more pew.
One more pew.
I don't know if it's in the front or the back, but I would guess it's at the back because they wanted to play longer and have more of it come into play. But I was reading a story this week about how those were formed, and apparently at some point in the original design, they were all separate bunkers, and then kind of erosion and other things maybe just lended itself that it came into one. I guess they saw something similar at a course in New Jersey, and they liked the way it looked, and they thought even maintenance-wise it was easier, so it kind of turned into this, and this is kind of their signature look. That'll be in between the third and the fourth holes, and a lot of spectators love going to this area. It's the main spectator entrance is actually on the third hole when people come in, so they get to see it. But it's definitely different. They took down a lot of trees. When I was actually there for the last 2 Opens for at least one day to watch. When Cabrera won in 07, I think 07, there were more trees, and there were a lot of trees in between, and then they went back to the original design. And as we've seen, even at Oak Hill, in some sense, took down some trees to kind of get back to what was the original design. They took them down, and they took them basically all down. There's almost nothing in between holes now anymore, which adds the element of wind coming into play much more than maybe it was before. But, I mean, you don't need trees for this course to be hard. There's plenty of it in the rough and the speed of the greens. They've increased the size of a lot of the greens, too, so that they can have what they would say more interesting or more challenging pin placements, too. And definitely not the traditional just, round greens. These are square. These are, rectangles. There's, little ends sticking out at every side. So they're different shapes than maybe what you'd see normally at all the other golf courses that we see professional tournaments at. So, I mean, when Dustin Johnson won it, he hit every fairway. He was hitting that fade. Everybody wanted to hit draws a decade ago because it gave you a little bit extra length, and he started hitting the fade, and now that's what kind of now all the pro golfers do, including Scheffler, who hits the fade all the time, because it's a little easier to control. It's a little easier to have it land softly. But I think if guys are accurate off the tee, I think they will have an opportunity maybe to play really well and give themselves a chance to win this week, because they've gotten a ton of rain, so the fairways are soft. You're not going to see maybe balls that hit the fairway and then unfairly just roll into the rough because it's so dry or so burnt out or anything. Everything's soft from everything that I'm reading and seeing on it. So if you hit the fairway this week, I think you'll have a chance to get those coveted pars that they're hoping for. Out of all the U.S. Opens, the lowest a winning score has ever been is -5. So everybody's got to kind of remember, redial back here. It's a score that's probably going to be right around par. I think when DJ won it, it was -4 when it was there 9 years ago.
Well, rain ahead of time, never a bad thing. What about, do you have any idea what the forecast for the week is like? I know it's only Monday, but I haven't looked ahead yet.
Yes, it looks like it's going to be pretty good and warm over the next, I guess, over like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. Thursday, Friday, mid-80s, sunny. Saturday and Sunday, 50% chance of showers, 82 and 77. So,
all right.
At least the start of the event looks like it'll go off without a hitch. In fact, even maybe be quite warm.
I love an Oakmont Open. This will be cool. Johnny Miller's classic win was at Oakmont also. So McIlroy in Canada, we were watching on Friday. He had a quad, ended up, I think, 9 over after the second round and went home. Do we care? Like, is that something where you think there's something significant there with him, or is that just a bad day?
I don't think that round is necessarily going to determine how he plays this week. I think what will happen is if he doesn't hit it in the fairway, that'll determine that he's going to fall out of contention. A big reason why he didn't play well in this event in the Canadian Open is that he sprayed it everywhere. Kind of got back to the McIlroy of a few years ago where he was just all over the place. So he's going to have to straighten that out. He said afterwards, he said his game is not at a spot where he's concerned, but he said if he hits the driver the way he did again this week, that it will be concerning. So I thought it was an interesting phrase how he worded that, because I mean, if you're in the rough on 2 out of every 3 holes or 3 out of every 4 holes here, you're not going to score well. You're just going to end up with a bad lie at some point that you can't even advance, and you're going to have to hit it sideways, and you're going to start. The scores are just going to pile up. There's so few birdie holes at a course like Oakmont that it's literally that survival of the fittest kind of mentality. Like you're not going to be able to catch up. If you're down by 7 or 8 after day 1, like I don't see how anybody can catch up. You have to kind of just stay there and just hope that you can just avoid taking the 7 and the 8s. Like I'm sure that we're going to see some of these massive scores. I think McIlroy, I guess I totally misjudged how he would come off the Masters. I thought, oh my God, huge relief. Can't believe I got this finally done. Kind of the pressure is off. And I thought he would be playing relaxed, calm, and cool. When everything I've seen now, he looks like he's playing almost like not even focused. He even kind of seems like he's in a foul mood. I know he was mad that his driver not conforming to the rules at the PGA got out there, and he didn't like that because it was supposed to be confidential. And Scheffler ultimately later admitted that his driver was the same. And it doesn't mean, I know people I saw on social media like, oh, take away the Masters or what. It doesn't mean he cheated, or doesn't mean his driver was illegal. It just meant that over time, the face could have maybe gotten worn down to the point where it doesn't meet the regulations, or like you might see with other clubs, like the grooves start to wear and then they become at some point deemed to be not what it's up to.
You're saying
so it's not,
my driver is probably illegal?
Well, if you've owned it for let's say a decade or more,
more, yeah.
But these guys might hit 200 balls a day too. Some of them. So your work regimen is strong, but I don't know if you haven't got many golf balls a day.
Pretty sure I haven't.
That your driver would be non-conforming.
Next tournament I sign up for, though, I'll get it checked. I don't want to have it get out later that it wasn't legal.
I know we'll have time. Obviously, we're going to talk to you on Wednesday when you make your picks, and then hopefully recap rounds 1 and 2 on Thursday and Friday. But Mickelson, this is a big week for him, right? I mean, it sounds a little weird to say that, but this could be like a last go-round for him, isn't it?
It is. We know, of course, he won the PGA in that incredible scene that he did. But that put him to have eligibility in these other majors, well, this is it in terms of his eligibility for the U.S. Open. So if he doesn't get it done this year, he's going to have to, in one of these other majors, finish, top 5 or top 10 to the point where it would bump him back into the field. But as of this moment, this could be his last U.S. Open. And we know Mickelson in the U.S. Open storyline has been with him basically, 20 years it feels like here. He's 6 runner-ups at the U.S. Open. The memorable one at Winged Foot where he's got a chance to win it on 18 and he hits it into the corporate tent on the side there and, inexplicably hits driver when he didn't even need to. He could have won with a bogey. So he's had he had the one-shot loss to Justin Rose at Marion. He finished second at Bethpage to Lucas Glover, and he's had opportunities, but the one I feel like everybody will remember the most is the Winged Foot one, where probably no one even remembers who won that. That was Ogilvy. Old Mickelson lost it. It was Jeff Ogilvy, yeah.
Or Pinehurst, Brian, like Payne Stewart. That's right. That's a classic.
That was more of a Stewart moment than it was nothing. That's less known for Mickelson's error. It was just a great putt. And Mickelson was so young at that point, 99. You're thinking, all right, he's going to get one at some point.
He didn't have the reputation yet.
Right.
Like he was so young, it would have been a story how young he was. And Tiger was in contention there too at Pinehurst. I don't know where he finished, but maybe top 5. All right, well, we'll let you get back to your research.
Okay. Yes, it's my turn to pick. The pressure is on because you guys are you're 2 for 2. I know I'm not going to give you too much credit, though. It was McIlroy and Scheffler.
Thank you.
But I have to at least give you credit. You both won, so I have to be ready here.
It's 6 out of 7 for the person picking the players. Yep, 6 out of 7.
Oof. Wow.
Which I know because I've got this notebook here that Bulldog mocked me for because I didn't use the backs of the pages, and I'm working my way backwards.
Brian, do you know about this?
Well,
are you tracing this back to the 13 Oak Hill major that we could figure out whether the picker is up or the field is up?
Brian, he uses this. That doesn't matter. He writes in this notebook on the fronts of each page.
Yes.
And then skips to the front of page 2, and then goes back and uses the backs of each page afterward.
I've got cereal names written down on a couple of these pages for Bulldog cereals.
And when he brought this up, he said it in such a way that implied that everyone did this.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like, I work with a serial killer. I've been working with this guy since 2003. Who uses a notebook that way?
You know what? Why don't you just get back to your honey pebbles? Why don't you get back to your maple frosted blueberry cap hits? All right, Brian. Talk to you Wednesday.
All right, I'll be ready with picks. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian Koziol on the West Her hotline. I couldn't find the golf page. But
no, you got the cereal page, though.
I found the cereal page. Yes.
Good to know.
Cap hits. I think cap hits could be a good name for a cereal.
It's got a future, maybe.
Toasted cap hits I would eat. Not plain. Toasted cap hits. Let's go. Let's draft tonight. Look for toasted cap hits in a draft room near you.
Did I give you a good name on Friday? I forget already.
The pre-horse collar Grogans.
Pre-horse collar Grogans.
Yes, that was it.
All right. Thank you for remembering.
Speaking of George Richards joined us earlier to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. That's next here on WGR.